Good morning. Hey, hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, let's, I need to turn on the fan. It's already getting hot in here. All right. Hey there. All right, let's see. Who's here? Hi there, Barbara.
Hi.
And let's see. Hi, Alan and Deborah.
Good morning.
Uh-oh, someone's Veronique, and I doubt you're Veronique. And
No, that really it signed it under my wife's name, huh? Interesting.
so do you
Okay.
know how to change your name, or should I add that?
Does it
Okay, so
matter?
yes, it matters because then for attendance, I need
Oh,
to
right.
see the
Hello.
name of who's here.
Okay.
So same
Right.
with Les. I see Les, but I don't see your last name. So would you mind adding your last name? So in fact, if you want, you can be Veronique. I just need the last name. But then you have to remind me your name because I don't remember your name.
Rinzai. Rinzai.
And then
Rinzai. Like bonsai, but Rinzai.
let me change that. Okay, Rinzai, and then your last name.
Zwerin.
Sverin, like that. Did I get it right?
Close enough.
Okay. I'll open up the roster and get it right. Or you can hover over your own picture and you'll see three little dots appear on the top right of your own video.
Got it.
When you click on those three dots, you can go down to rename, and then you can download it that way. There you go. Let me see. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Mimi.
Hi.
And Tanya, nice to see you. Hey, Rod. Rod, were you here last week? Somehow I think. Oh, here we go. Hi, Julie.
Good morning.
And I think I've seen everyone now. Let me change. Alan Gersh, I think. Okay. I'm opening up the other computer. I was I'm starting Excel 2 today, and this is Mac level 2, and I had opened Excel 2 at first, and I'm like, no one's showing up. Where are they? And then I figured too, oh yeah, no, this is Mac, not Excel. My afternoon class is Excel 2. All right.
Unlike the Mac classes, is Excel 1, Excel 2, they build on each other.
That's a different kind of series of classes, and it kind of makes sense, right?
Because well, that was the mistake I made signing up for 2, not figuring, because I know a bunch of Mac stuff.
Yeah,
but that they're not building on each other.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I emailed everyone at the beginning in level 1 and level 2, and I told them, hey, just so you know, this really, you should start at the beginning. But if anyone signed up after the beginning when that started, then they didn't get that email, because I just said everyone at the beginning. I look and I go, okay, you guys in 1 and 2, just so you know, it's no levels, we're starting, and that kind of thing. And then after that, I just forget about it until it's time for class to start. And so I should probably send that email again at some point to people who sign up late. I don't know, but I didn't. So, all right. Here we go. I'm opening up the other side. So guys, any questions, anything that came up, any issues with getting that external hard drive, anything of what we covered last week that you need to ask in particular, or want to clarify before we continue with new material?
Can I clarify something? I didn't make the last class last Thursday. Was that the last of level 1 or the first of level 2?
The first of level 2, I'd have to look at the calendar.
Oh,
Today is the
wait,
second
no.
of level 2, so yeah,
Okay, got it. All
Yeah.
right.
my brain takes a second to, since I have, as I said, my classes are staggered, like today's the first of Excel 2, but it's a second of level 1, I mean, but yes, this is the second time I meet with this group. So last week was the first one. Good. Now, oh, I remember, because on Tuesday, which would have been the last of level 1, was when I was ill, was canceled. So that's the explanation. All right. I'm trying to remember what was happening in a very complicated week last week. Okay. All right. So one thing that we did last week is we began to look at the different settings for privacy in the Safari, and I wanted to just go through. Here we go. Oh, I put your wrong name, Alan. I see you fixed it. Thank you. I put Gersh instead of Gershow. All right. Let me see who else just came in. Doran. Hi, Doran, and Carol. And oh, and Susan. There we go. All right. So hi, everyone. Go to the chat and give me a good old good morning, or whatever it is that you want to say, because it could maybe not be a good morning for you. You could say bad morning. Just so that we get your recorded that you're there. Everyone's first and last names are available. So now I'm going to head over to the last thing, since no one seems to have had any other question about anything I covered. So for some of you who just joined us, I was saying, is there anything that you want to ask about things that we might have just covered last week? Any questions about buying your external hard drive, which you need to have by next week? Anything around cloud issues? Okay, then what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen and continue where we were before. And what we were doing was open Safari and then open the system preferences. And how we do that is we would go up to the word Safari, and then it's preferences if you're on a not Ventura, and it's settings if you're in Ventura. Okay, so you go up to the word Safari, that I'm not sharing the word Safari. I'll share the whole thing again one more time. Up at the very top, when you have Safari open, at the very top near the apple, you should see the word Safari. And it's those preferences. I'm sharing you from the not Ventura computer. Let me just say that instead of older than Ventura. So anything that's not Ventura, it'll say preferences. Anything that's Ventura will say settings. Remember, now it's synonymous. Settings and preference mean exactly the same thing. And then when you open that, it looks like this. And I just had run a tad short. I had gone through the privacy and security, and there was just one more thing I needed to talk about here, I believe. I'm getting a bit of an echo from someone who has 2 computers. Make sure to turn this whenever someone who has 2 computers connected, whenever you want to talk, we'll have that reverb thing because we just had it on. So make sure to go and disconnect sound for one, and I can help you do that. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and save to just show this, so it's a little bit easier for you to see. There we go. And so we had covered the choices here. I'm trying to think. We had done the security and the privacy and cookies. We had done cookies. So I think we had covered this, but there was one more. Any questions about this, by the way?
How did you get there again?
Go up to Safari and go up to Safari preferences, or if you're in Ventura, Safari settings. And then okay, so then the other thing that I wanted to show you, I guess, from here, I thought I had one more thing to talk about, but no, I think we had this covered. I wanted to go back here to general, and one more thing, anything that you write, anytime that the Safari asks you for a password, right? And you go over here, the passwords. This password, to show you your passwords, you need to put in your user ID, which is the same one that you use to turn on your computer. So here we're saying that passwords are safe as long as you don't share them, but some people still share the password of how to unlock their computer very easily, because, oh, I need to go, okay, I just unlock my, oh yeah, open it up, just write the word, 1, 2, 3, or whatever that password you have. But then that also unlocks accessing your passwords for other things. So be careful with who you share any password with, right? Because when you are in any, when I go, for example, to SBCC, I'm going to go here and I go into pipeline. And I hit over here, the P for pipeline. Oh, I'm already signed in. I was signed in because I was in here this morning. So I'm going to sign out. Okay. So when I come to pipeline and I want to sign in, see, I click on enter your username and I already have it memorized by Safari. So for those of you who have a thumbprint kind of computer, you can just put your thumbprint here and that's all you need to do. If not, you have to do this and it comes up automatically already there. And it's because when the computer asked me, do you want to remember the passwords? I said yes. Now, if you want to go see what those passwords are, you can go over here and put in the same computer password, and then it'll open up. And that which unlocks and opens up is access to your computer's keychain. The computer's keychain is something that is part of the cloud, right? So if you save this here, then when you open Safari on your phone, then as long as your keychain is part of what gets shared, and let me remind you in the old, let me share my other window here. I'm adding. Okay, so this is my system preferences. Hold on. System preferences on the older than Ventura looks like this. Notice that in the cloud part, one of the things that gets shared is the keychain right there. So the key, so for those of you who are in something older than Ventura, this is the preferences, system preferences. System settings in the Ventura looks a bit different. But when you go into the cloud, okay, and this is something, again, that we covered so much before that just for new people, this is a little bit different where you're looking for. So if you have an older computer, this here is your Apple ID, is your access to what's on the cloud. Then as long as these are all checked and turned on, and the keychain is turned on, then what that means is that any password that you put in here and were able to use and sign in, that has been remembered by this feature. And this feature then means that if you open Safari on your pad or on your phone, it will remember the same passwords. So you don't have to be entering your password all the time. But it remembers any password you put in. So any password you remember. So if you're on Safari and you're going into your, I don't know, Netflix account and you're watching a movie and then you want to do it on your phone, it's that same keychain that'll, or your iPad, people tend to watch movies on their iPads if they have an iPad. That same keychain feature is the one that's remembering the passwords for everything to not have to enter it. So then on your phone and on your and on your iPad, you have to have the keychain feature turned on. And then as long as you enter it once, everything knows your password. Which then again, if you do that, which is fine, I do that for most of my passwords, then you have to be careful, once again, who knows to unlock your phone or your iPad or your computer, because the passwords then flow back and forth. So what I do is I do not add to the keychain passwords, for example, to my bank account, because if you go to your bank online, that would be one that I don't have my computer remember, because, I would just in case, not want to have that one be one of the ones that everything remembers automatically. So just be careful with that. Passwords to things that really, really matter. I mean, I don't care if someone opens up and watches a movie without my permission, but I don't want, by mistake, I've heard horror stories from people in classes like you of their grandkids coming in and using their computer, and then by the time they're gone, their computer is unrecognizable, and everything's a mess and it's a disaster. So just be careful who uses your computer and who you give access to. By the way, if that's an issue that you have when people visit that want to use your computer, you can set up a guest user account for them, which again, I believe is something we covered the first Mac class. But you can ask me a bit more if you have that. So anyway, that's the whole point with this password. So you need to see the passwords, you need to enter the password to your computer. And then you can have access to each individual password. All right, so that's just all I wanted to say about passwords and keychain, and just be careful. They're great. I don't need to be entering the password for all my easy things all the time, but I do keep the ones that are truly important as far as financial issues and stuff like that. I keep them off the keychain. All right. But then you have to remember them, right? Because otherwise you don't get access to them. And then the autofill.
Diana, I'm sorry. I messed up something with the Zoom, and I see a bunch of thumbnails, but I don't see what you're showing. I must have clicked on something.
Go down to the Zoom icon on your dock and click on that again, see if it pops up, or right click and say show all windows. Just see if that helps.
It
Otherwise,
says no available windows when I right click.
okay, I'm gonna stop my share. Can you see me talking you now? What do you see now?
Nothing. You disappeared. So let me put.
I stopped my share. So you should be seeing the Zoom window where I'm talking or something, or not?
Nope, I don't see anything. Oh, now I see it.
Okay,
Yes,
now
clicking on
remember,
Zoom.
guys, whenever you don't see things, another option always is to hold down the command key and then hit tab, tab, tab. And that shows you all the different apps that should be open, which, by the way, you should only have Safari,
Right.
Zoom, and Finder. Don't forget, we don't want to have a ton of open things. If you have more things than that, please close everything that you don't need to have open. And then you can stop on Zoom. Let me share again what I'm doing. Now I'm sharing my entire screen here. So remember, if you have a lot of things open and you don't know how to, work with them, just go command and then tab, and then that will swoop you through all the tab, 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 tab. And then you stop at Zoom and you let go of the command key. That's when you prioritize Zoom. Tab, command, tab, 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 and then you prioritize Excel or Finder or Safari, right? Whatever it is that you're on. So that, remember that one, write it down. So when you stop seeing things, no matter where you're in, command, tab, tab, tab helps you then bring up to the forefront that which you actually want to be in.
You're back, sure.
All right. Okay. So now I'm going to share again, and now make sure that you can still see me. Okay. So I was back at the preferences. Just a quick, again, parts of privacy and stuff like that. If you have the autofill turned on, then anytime that you use, this is information from my contacts. So in your contacts app, if you put your name, address, phone number, street, that kind of thing, then whenever you have to go fill a form, it just, whenever you're going to go where it says name, you're going to go type in name, and it puts in my name, Diana, and I go to last name and it puts in Musacchio, because it knows the information from there. So make sure that your information is correct in there. So if I go up here to edit, the contacts app is going to open, and give it a second because I need to reshare that. Oh, okay. There it is. Oh, you don't see it because I need to share that screen too. So hold on. So my contacts app opened up, and we're going to be talking about that app anyway a bit later. So if you haven't used it, but over here in my contacts app, you're going to have, who you are. And so in this case, SBCC teacher, which is the person I am in this computer, I don't have any information. So if you go to your app, to your contacts, and if you don't know how to use the contacts app yet, I'll teach you, don't worry, but put your name in there, right? And so in this case, this person who's using this computer is SBCC teacher, because that's just the account I'm using to teach, but that says nothing. So if I get here to any form that I have to write in my name, I'm going to have to type in everything myself. So try here, if you did open contacts and you see a search, put your name in there. Like if I put my name, then under my personal name, this isn't SBC teacher. Then over here, you see that I have 300 North Turnpike, whatever, which is the information, the Wake Center information and stuff like that. So just make sure that if you type your name, your information that's here is correct, right? And if it's correct, then when you go and fill in any form, all of that stuff will just pop in. Same with this, if you have put credit cards into, and people tend to do that in their phone or things like that. So if you put in the credit card information, then every time that you're in some place that asks you for a credit card, you just click on the credit card and there your information pops in. Again, all of this is stuff that you need to be the only one who uses your computer. If someone else uses your computer, I don't recommend having all these features turned on unless they're someone you utterly trust. I mean, your spouse or someone that you're completely comfortable with. Don't have it be a computer that anyone else uses. Sometimes people who live in the same housing situation use the same computer. Then you would never have these kind of things checked on, because you don't want that information to go back and forth. Okay. So forms, et cetera, et cetera. So that just, I'm not saying keep them on or take them off. Just know your housing situation and know whether this makes sense for you, because these same settings there are also on your phone or on your iPad. And so maybe your computer you only use, but everyone picks up the iPad to watch a movie. Well, then you might want to turn certain things off on your iPad, because you don't want everyone on your iPad suddenly buying things. And you've all heard horror stories of kids who had an iPad and then they open up a game and they run up a $7,000 tab on their parents' credit card for buying little extra things on the iPad, right? So that's because the iPads had the settings turned on where everyone remembers, all the devices remember the passwords, the computers, the credit cards and everything. And so don't do that unless it's only you or some very trusted person. Okay. Let me I see a couple of hands. I'm just gonna go back over here to general, and this is where I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna stop my share because I'm gonna answer some questions and then finish that, and then we'll move on to another app. Yes, Rod. I can't hear you. Your sound is off. I see your mouth moving. I still can't hear you. It looks like you're still muted, Rod. There we go. All right, go ahead. Oh, now you're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. So it must be the same thing that was happening a few weeks ago, because now you're unmuted. Just to make sure, I have heard other people talk to me, right? Yeah, you've been talking to me. Okay. No, now you're unmute. Now you're muted. I'll go ahead and let you do whatever you did last time, which I think you had to connect your audio through a different channel, because right now, even though you've unmuted, I still can't hear you. Meanwhile, I'll ask Mimi to ask me her question while you work on that. Your settings are a bit confused. Oh, you figured it out last time, right? Oh, wait, I think I just heard you. Say something? No, it was someone else then. Okay, then Mimi, what's your question?
My question is, I have a Catalina and I sure can't find that page you're looking at. And I go to the Apple and I go to about this, no, I go to system preferences.
No, not system preferences, Safari's preferences. So you have to have Safari turned on. Okay.
How do
So,
I?
okay, so I'm going to share my screen, my entire desktop. So this is Safari, right? When I click on Safari,
Hold on.
that thing says Safari. But if instead I happen to have clicked right here in the desktop, that doesn't say Safari anymore. That's Finder. So if I go to Finder, there's Finder preferences. If I have my system preferences turned on or my contacts turned on, that's contacts preferences, right? So
Mhm.
each app that's up in the foreground has its preferences. So to pull up the name Safari, you have to click on Safari. So this here is Safari. And if you don't know which of all these boxes is Safari, then get down to your dock and find Safari and click on Safari. And then you know you're in Safari. So now you'll see the word up there, Safari. Now you click and go to preferences. Okay. And that's how
Okay,
you pull them up.
okay.
Okay, so the thing that I just showed you guys is crucial. And again, people who didn't do the beginning classes or who did them for the first time, people who are truly beginners to my classes and they did things the first time that I keep saying, well, I did this before. You're all like, well, I don't remember it, right? In the background, you might not want to be saying it because if you're truly new to all of this, you've learned so much by now that some things get all kind of woozy. And I'm saying this in the sense that, hey, you know, you still have the links there, go and review some things, or know that quite a few of you are here on your second round of classes or something like that, because the first time you hear something, it's like, oh, okay, this is great. I see it, I do it, and then boom, it's out, right? Because you did it once and then it's out of your brain and you have to just kind of get more accustomed to it and use your computer before it really sticks. So then when you come and do a class another time, you're at a whole nother level, and then you can listen to certain other things that I say because you've got the basics down, right? So don't feel bad if I say, oh, we did this before, and you still might not remember certain things. It's just that it can be a lot. I'm teaching you so many new things, right? So so what I'm trying to point out to now is that up here at the top, next to the apple, you will always have the name of the application that's in the foreground, right? So when you need to see a different application than whatever's up there, if you see it visually, you can click on it. But who knows what this box is? I don't know. That's a box, right? Until you click on it, you don't know. And then you discover, oh, it must have been the contacts, because see, now it says contacts. How about this? I don't know. It's just a box. I click on it. Oh, that was Safari. So the easiest thing is to, instead of trying to guess what all these things are, because, you know, they're one on top of the other, either go down to the dock and click again on the icon of the thing that you want. If you want a contacts, if you want system preference, do that. If you want Excel, it's on another window, so you don't see it because it's got the roster, which has to say private, do that. If you want to do Safari, do that. And that brings them all to the foreground. And so if I click on contacts, I should expect that thing to say contacts. If I click on Safari, I should expect that thing to say Safari. But the thing that I was just teaching you was another, which is Command Tab. So now instead of going to your dock, you can just go, okay, I'm going to stop in the Finder. Let go of your mouse. Boom, you're in the Finder. Then you go Command Tab, 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 and then Safari. Let go of your Command key. Boom, now you're in Safari. Command Tab, Tab. You're in Contacts. Let go of your key. Now you're in Contacts. You see that? It pulls up the right window. So that's a good one for everyone to remember. And by the way, this is the same for Mac or PC. You know, this is one of those things that everyone used to do. And so, yeah, so then the last one you use moves to the front, which is now Contacts. If I now go Command Tab and I stop in Safari, it pulls up. See how these windows are changing, and that is changing. And now, yes, the preferences here will belong to Safari. Or if I go to Contacts, those preferences will be loaded. Contact preferences has its own preferences. They look different. They look like that. And if I go to the Finder, and the Finder preferences look like this, right? Every app has its preferences. Every single app has its preferences, including the one that we're in right now, which is Safari. Okay. Now, when you go to the Apple preference, that's the system preferences, because that is the entire, you know, preferences, and that's the one, or settings, that commands your entire computer. This would be only for each app. Okay. And no matter what app you open, here, each one will always have an option for preferences where you can modify the settings for that particular how do you call it, for that particular window. Okay, so there we go. So that was a long answer to Mimi's question, but I think it's important to everyone to know how to pull up, because this is what we're going to be doing this class. We're going to be opening a lot of apps and have a lot of apps on our window, and it gets, this is a messy screen. You don't see things one at a time. So how do you prioritize them? Well, in part is to not have everything open a lot of the times, but in otherwise command plus tab, or going to down here to the icon that you want to see and opening it up and closing anything that's not in use. So contacts is not in use right now. Right click, quit. I don't need to see it. System preference is not in use. Right click, quit. Right, to close everything that you're not using. Zoom I am, because I have the roster here on the other side, so I'll leave it open. So, Zoom, sorry, Excel I'm using, even though you don't see it because it's on the other app. And then here we are. All right, so that question led me to reminding you all to practice. So do this, do the command tab, just get it comfortable with that to be able to shift, because we're going to be opening a lot of apps today in the next few weeks, in the next few classes. Alan?
Yes, I haven't been using Safari, although I have it. I wonder if I should switch to Safari, because I mean, I'm my normal, no, sorry, I normally use Firefox. Would it be helpful if I switch to Safari now?
Here's my response to that. Firefox and Safari are both really good with privacy, so either one is fine. I would tend to steer away from a lot of people who use Chrome, but most people use Chrome, because especially if they came from the world of PC from before, or if a person who used a PC set up your computer, people always think they need Chrome. I'm not sure how people end up with Chrome on their computers a lot, but I see a lot of people go, well, I use Chrome. Fine. Chrome is also a good browser. They're all good browsers, but Chrome is much less careful about your privacy. Firefox, on the other hand, is also very good about privacy, and so is Safari. So that's what I recommend. But other than that, it's completely your choice. It's the brand, right? The only other advantage that using Safari has over any of the others is that it is the Apple version, right? So when it remembers, for example, passwords within the Safari, it's using the computer keychain, versus if you're remembering, which is an Apple app, which then your phone remembers, that then your your iPad remembers. But if instead you're using Chrome, then it's Chrome itself that is remembering your password, which might not then translate to Safari nor to your other apps, unless you use Chrome and all your other apps. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like an environment, it's a closed environment where you're using something else. Well, then you'll have to use their rememberings for passwords and their stuff. And so then your passwords are in many different things. I kind of prefer to keep it all in one system, but I can't promise you it's better or worse. It's all I can promise you, it's more private, more careful with your data. I do want to say too that there's a couple of places in the world, in the internet world, still, that when you go to, they go, this doesn't work for Safari, or it doesn't work for Edge. Like Edge is the one that belongs to the Windows computers, and the only thing they work for is for Chrome or Firefox. And I've come across that maybe once every couple of years. There's some form or something that won't show up unless you do it on Safari, on Chrome or Firefox, because they're both independent. They both work for everything, versus Safari is good for Macs and Edge is good for Windows, right? So but I've only come across that a couple, maybe every 2 years or so. There might be a site that you need to use those for. In the past, it was more. In the past, and maybe that's when people inherited using Chrome, I'd say 10 years ago, Safari, there was many sites that weren't set up for that, for Safari. And so it couldn't use forms, like government forms and stuff like that. They couldn't use Safari up until, I don't know, like 5 or 7 years ago. Now everything can use everything. So, yeah. So I'm sorry, it's not a very specific answer, but it's just like asking me which car should I buy? I don't know. I can recommend using you know, everyone has their own needs or wants. I highly recommend during this class to use Safari so that you can get accustomed and decide if you like it more. But outside of this class, it's your choice. Mimi?
Can you show us how to go to change it, or did you already show that
To change what?
from Chrome to Safari?
Well, there are two different apps. You open one or you open another. Safari exists on your computer, and that's it.
Where
If
does
you
it exist? I can't find it.
Safari?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have this icon that looks like a compass on your dock?
No.
Okay. So if at some point someone took it off and removed it, which is probably what happened, then let's open your Finder window, right? And go to your applications. And then go look for the word Safari. Once you find it, drag it back into your dock, and then you'll have it on your dock. And same with any of these apps that you want to find. Now that's if you want to permanently put it on your dock. If you just wanted to open something one time and never again, like I don't have everything that's here on my dock, right? So say that I have, I don't know, the dictionary here. I don't want to put it in my dock, but I want to
You
use
don't, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I should have. Thank you.
At least I don't see it.
No, that's good. Thank you. Anyone else, whenever you don't see, when I'm clearly demonstrating something and you can't see it, please, please let me know. Otherwise, yeah, I'm trying to show you how to add Safari, and if you don't see it, then that's no good. So I was saying if Safari is missing, so here I'll remove it because, you know, at some point someone removed it. Then you open a Finder window, go to your applications, you look up and down, it's alphabetical order. Here's Safari, right? These are all your apps. And so then you just grab it and you drag it in here, put your mouse in between and drop it in there. There you go. There's Safari now. Now you can open Safari. Did that help you, Mimi? Mimi, did that?
Yes.
You found it?
Yes.
Okay. Now you can do that to any app that's here, but say that you don't want to put it in here. Like I don't see the dictionary app down there, but I have an app called Dictionary, right? So if I want an app that I don't have, and this is part of today's class, so that's why I'm kind of segueing off on her question to continue a little bit more. When you're looking for something that's not on your dock, then how do you open it? Well, over here on the top right of the entire computer on the menu bar, there's a search feature, which is this little magnifying glass. You click on that and it opens a spotlight search. And so that's the best way to look for stuff that you have no idea where it is. Maybe you forgot that you can go to the Finder and get your applications for there. Maybe you just forgot that and you just want to know how to open Safari. So you just write Safari, and then the first option is Safari app, and you go, oh yeah, that's it. So you hit return or you double click and then it'll open up. Okay. So anything, so I'm going to close it again. Say that I don't know where for maybe my contacts, I can't recognize it. I just click over here and I write contacts, and then contacts app opens up. Either hit return or double click. I'm going to hit return. It's easier, and boom, there my contacts open up. So a lot of people only use that to open apps, and then they never know where, and the source of where they really are is here in the applications folder, right? So if you know the app that you're looking for and you write it in Spotlight, go for it. That's a good way. But you might not even know that these are all the apps you actually have, a ton more apps than you might even think of. Did you even know that you had an app called a calculator? And every time you need a calculator, do you go pick up a calculator? Or do you just I use the calculator a lot, for example. So that's one of the ones that I added to my dock. I have my calculator app on my dock all the time. Every time I need it, I don't have to go call it. I'll just go up here and boom, I'll do my numbers, right? But you don't have to put the calculator there, but I use it so much that why go look for it each time? I'm going to remove it now because I don't want it there. I only want the apps that come with the computer here. But yeah, so this little magnifying glass lets you find anything that you don't really know otherwise where to find. Okay. Yes, Tanya.
Oh, I am not muted. Okay, sorry. Quick question. I am Trying to get back to that and it won't let me reduce the screen. Come on. There we go. Under Safari and privacy, is it beneficial to block all cookies?
No, were you guys, we already kind of talked about that last week. Were you not here?
I couldn't find it on the recording. I was having troubles towards the end of the recording this morning when I was reviewing it.
It's all towards the end of the recording. I don't mind. I'll give you the once over again, but when it's something that I actually did just explain, unless a lot of people want to hear about it again, I'd rather move on. But basically, no, I wouldn't block all cookies personally. But again, it's kind of like, should I use Safari or Chrome? It's an opinion. My opinion is no, don't block our cookies. There's many websites that need cookies or they won't run for you. But instead of coming upon that, I don't block them. But if you do block them, which is an option, it warns you websites may not work if you do this. Are you sure you want to block all cookies? And on top of that, any cookies that are there will be removed, right? So right now, what a cookie helps is for a site to know you, but not to know you as in to use your data to steal your data, rather to know your preferences. So if I go, the quick example I get, if I go to the newspaper to read the news and that news, and I always want to check sports, it'll prioritize sports news. It'll still show me the most important headlines of the day, but it'll have a big feature on sports. Or if I love to know, if I'm an entertainment follower, I want to read about movies and stuff, then I'll see the most important headlines, but then I'll have entertainment spotlighted and not sports and stuff like that. So it knows you a little bit. That's the easiest way to explain it. If you always read all the politics articles, it'll put all the big headlines of politics, and then you'll have a little line for entertainment or sports, right? So that's an example of what I mean by a site knowing you. But if you go to weather.com, it'll know that you're in Santa Barbara. If you go to BBC, it'll know you're in the States, and it won't show you news about England first. It'll show you news about America the first. So I'm just giving you slight examples. Now, there's also some sites need that information in order to even function, right? And so they just don't function unless you unblock them. So if you come upon a site that, if you did block all cookies and you come upon a site that needs them, it'll tell you that you need to unblock it, in which case you'll have to go to your preferences, right? And you're going to have to open it up, and you'll have to go to cookies, and you'll have to specifically give permission to that website. You'll have to add it here. So it's much more work. And but you're welcome to do it that way. If you come upon a site that says, well, unless you unblock cookies, you can't see me, and it's a site that you need, like government sites or stuff like that, then you're going to have to go in and unblock them. So anyway, that's just my my recommendation. All right. General. Everyone go to general. Now, in general, you have the basic settings. If you haven't changed them, right, will allow you to start your page from wherever you ask it to start. So say that you're the kind of person, I don't care about seeing the information about the weather every morning. My husband checks the weather all the time, every morning, right? It depends on so and I'm just saying that as an example, he actually doesn't have the weather page, but you could decide that what you want is to see the moment you open your computer, the weather, or the moment your computer, you might want to see the news, or the moment you open your computer, you might want to see whatever it is that you want to see. Maybe you go to your computer only to check email, so you want to just see your email. And by the way, that's a segue. I'm going to teach you now a different way to that's not through the website to look at email. But you know, whatever you go to the internet for the most, if you don't want to go search for it each time, you could have your computer open with that, right? So you could see that when you open up your computer, you could have it open with, for example, a start page, or the home page, or an empty page, right? Or stuff like that. The start page is, is something that, let me just see, when I go over here and I click on the start, right now my start page is this one. Now, I made it have that little bear in the back once, so it probably looks different for you. But it's a page that shows me my favorites, my frequently visited sites, privacy report. Look, in the last 7 days, Safari's prevented 121 trackers from profiling you, Siri suggestions, reading list, stuff like that, right? So these are just things that my start page uses. I kind of like that because it gives me quick access to the things that I would read the most. But you don't have to want that to be what you start with. So you can change it to something else. Now, the home page, right, is in this case the start page. So that's what it starts with. But say that I want instead to have it be, I don't know, let me go to the BBC. So bbc.com. Say that I want to check the news all the time, right? So then when I go here to preferences, I'll say that I want to set my homepage to the current page. So I'm going to click on that. Boom. So that's now it says bbc.com. So now every time I open a new window, every time I open in the internet and open a new window, boom, it would, oh, I guess that was the home page, not the start page. Hold on. A new window starts with the home page, right? And the home page now is the BBC. So every time I open a new window now over here with this little plus sign, hello. I chose this. Did I need to like set it? New windows open, no, new tabs, not new windows. I'm sorry, homepage. The new windows is a different thing. Okay, so now in the new tab, what I just opened there was a new tab. I'll open with the homepage, BBC. So now when I go open a new page, it'll always open with BBC, for example, right? So if you care about the weather and you go to, I don't know, weather.com, then you go over here and you say set to current page. So now weather.com is your current page. So now every time if you have everything closed up and you go, okay, I want to open a new tab, and you open it up, boom. When you open up Safari, it'll be on weather. Like you can choose the computer to start on whatever you want to start. Does that make sense? That's a choice you can make. So that would be a place you would do that. And the best way is to go to it and then say set to current page, and then a new tab opens with, new window opens with, like, and then suddenly everything will always open to weather.com, for example. I actually want this to open with the start page myself. So I left it there because that's what I'd prefer. But I want to show you what the start page does for you and why it might be useful and how to handle it. So I recommend leaving it at the start page. Now, you might want to have Safari opens with all windows from last session. If you are someone who opens 25 tabs, and maybe you're like, what's a tab? I don't know. There's people who don't even know what a tab is. That's fine. But if you're the kind of person that leaves 25 tabs open, that really, really, really hurts your computer. That's one of the things that if you ever wonder if your computer is grinding down and being slow, one of the things might be that you might have a ton of tabs open in your computer. So for example, if I had a tab going, let me go this one to Google, let me open this little plus sign and go to, I don't know, iCloud. I'm just using these little favorites here to go to places, SVCC. So these are all quick accesses to different things, right? So I'm opening tab after tab after tab after tab. What's this? Twitter. These are the ones that the computer, here's the Weather Channel. These are when I go to this plus sign, I'm clicking on all of these. So to open different things, right? So now look at how many tabs I've opened and they're all sitting there. Each time I open this plus sign, I open a new tab, right? So now the good news about tabs is that I could just go quickly to Apple or to SVCC or to Pipeline or to Twitter, which by the way, yeah, I read in the news, it's not Twitter anymore. It's a little X now. Okay. It's not the bird. Weather, Apple, Yahoo. So everything is open. I've got all these things open and ready to go. That might be really useful, but it's also very, very, all-consuming for your computer. It just really, really uses it. So now when I close Safari, and when I close Safari, my whole share is going to stop. So let me change my share to this. So when I close Safari right now, quit Safari. That's how you quit a program. When I open it again, all those apps are still, all those tabs are still there. Why? Because in my preferences, I told it to Safari opens with all the windows from the last session. See? So that didn't clean anything up. I still left way too many tabs open. So if you're someone who is hoping to just clean it all up by closing it and open it again, this doesn't clean it. On the other hand, if you're better about closing tabs that you don't need, so I don't care about Twitter right now, so I'm going to close that off. I don't need to see the weather. I'm going to close that. I don't need to see Apple. I'll close that. If you're good about only having the apps that you need open, right? So say you have the 4 important apps open that you're using, then this is good because you can be in the middle of something that you want to read or do. And then when you close Safari and open up again, it's all still there. It's all back to there. If on the other hand, you'd like it to clean each time, then you can change it to just start with a clean window and don't have all your other stuff open. So that's that choice. I want to mainly talk about a couple of the things that might what that start page has, and a couple of other things that have to do with speed as well. So let me move back. And by the way, those of you who say, well, I'm going to continue using Firefox, or I'm going to continue using Chrome, or whatever you're using, kudos to you. Look for the settings in those apps because they have them. And there's similar ones to these, right? And so even though it's not that I'm telling you need to use Safari, but this is a Mac class, I'm teaching you Safari, but the same settings exist, for better or for worse, in all these other apps. So go find out, where are the settings for Chrome, where are the settings for Firefox, and then change the app to suit your needs. You know what I mean? Do whatever you need to make it work for you. Now, the one thing I wanted to show you is history. So if you want your computer to work faster, then you wouldn't keep a lot of history. You would remove them after 1 day or 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month, right? Right now, the default is after 1 year. So what does history mean? Well, if you want to go to some place that you visited a week ago, but you don't remember, God, I know I saw that thing that was, what was that? I read this article, or I saw this thing for sale, or I'm interested in this, whatever that I saw. You can go up to the history and pull it down. And this has a history of everything you've been in. This here, hold on, let me let someone in for a second. Admit. So this stuff is where I went today. So see that all the things I opened today, these are all the things I've been opening while I've been showing you stuff. So this is my history of today's places I visited. So today I went to Yahoo, to Apple. These are all those 10 tabs I just opened, the cloud, Google. So I can go back and go, oh yeah, when I was at this place today, and I go over here, and that's my history. I come back to this place. So then it goes to the top because it's what I just visited. Or I'm going to go to Twitter. Right. And so I'm in Twitter and I go back, it's at the top because it's the last thing I visited. So this shifts, and the top is the last thing you visited, and then go on and so forth all the way to the oldest thing. But I can still go back to, well, earlier today, what did I visit? Or where did I go on Monday? Or where did I go on Friday? Obviously, I don't do too many interesting things here in this computer because I don't have that many things. I'm mainly in Zoom and stuff. But in your own computer, where you're actually going all over the place on the internet, you could say, oh, I know I went there on Monday, and then that thing that I went there. So you can go back into your history to find out. Now, every now and then you could clear your own history, say, oof, I don't want all that in there, and clear it up. This history does take computer memory time to maintain. You can clear it on yourself on your own, or you can go over here to the preferences and have it automatically remove after a certain amount of time. If you think you probably don't need more than 1 month's worth of history, because after that, who's going to remember, then change it to 1 month. That'll help your computer. On the other hand, if you want to see all your history forever and ever and ever, like this remembers the last week, then you go over here, go show all history, and this is every single thing. You can go all the way back. And I started this account for teaching in June of 2022. So that's as far as I can go, but I could go even further if this computer was any older. And I can open up and say that on June 2022, these are the places I went to, right? So it'll remember as long as you want it to remember. If it never does, no, this is a year's worth of memory, not until whenever, like this is a whole year. So we can go back a whole year. I don't think there's a need for so much history. So that's a, I personally don't think I would keep a whole year's history. But if I also want to just clean it up, I can just here clear history and everything will disappear instantly. I don't want to have it disappear instantly right now because I want to keep sharing this option with you guys. But on my personal one, I do clear history a lot because it's just another burden for the computer to remember all that stuff. I think 1 month is more than reasonable. On the other hand, if you're someone who goes to places that are, private or whatever, you might want to have it automatically disappear all the time, which then sends me to, well, what if you want to have your history not be remembered? What if you don't want people to know where you went? And what if you don't even want a Safari to record any information of where you've been? So then instead of opening a regular window, you can open a file new private window. Okay, so when you open a private window, I have to show you the entire screen or you won't see it. So when you open a private window, the only way to distinguish that it's private, well, first of all, it says private browsing enabled, and the search is dark up there. See, that's telling you that and it says private there. So what it says is that Safari will keep your browsing history private for any tab that you open in this window. After you close this window, Safari won't remember the pages you visited, your search history, or your autofill information. So one thing that happens here too is that Safari doesn't remember your passwords either. So if I go to Pipeline right now and I try to go here and put in my passwords, and I use that to go in, and if it's like my bank or something like that, and I use my passwords in here, then it won't remember that I was there. And this doesn't remember cookies either. So if you go to BBC, for example, and you're in here, it doesn't remember who or what you are, and it won't remember what kind of, all the stuff that it remembered about you. It'll just show you the basic general stuff. It doesn't know if you're in the States or in Europe or wherever you are, and it shows you the information, not knowing who you are. So that it'll always say private up there, and this will be dark, and that's why you're in a private window. So maybe you want to go to your bank, you might want to be in the private window all the time, and then when you leave, you're done, you don't need the private window anymore, and then you're back to normal. And then in your history, you wouldn't see that you went to your bank, for example, and then you can't pull it up again. I don't actually bother with private window for bank. I just don't put my passwords in my memory for my bank, for example. But anyway, just things that I'm saying. So anyway, so that's the option. Someone had asked about incognito. That's the name that Chrome uses for private window. Safari uses private window. I don't remember what Firefox uses. It's all brand names. I don't know what Firefox has. Its own. All features have a version of being private. Okay. So that's where that one is. Now, the last thing I want to show you about this is, and let me go ahead and I'm going to leave my history. I'm going to open a new tab. Is anyone kind of wondering what I'm doing here with all these tabs? Like, why do I have all these tabs here? Like, have you ever not used tabs? Is anyone who's never used tabs? It used to be in the past that a lot of people didn't use tabs. I just don't know if that's how it is anymore. If you've used tabs before, give me a green check mark. If you've never used tabs before, give me a no. Oh, well, I'm looking at while I'm waiting for your yeses and nos, I'm reading I see that you guys have been asking some questions. And one of them is, how do you get rid of removing tabs? There you go. So I'm going to show you now. You have a Freeform on your dock. Freeform is a new app that started last year. If you don't use it, just get it out of your dock. It's you can take notes on it. I'll get around to teaching it, but yeah, if you don't need it, you don't need it. What do you use Chrome instead of Safari, and Safari is another, okay. Hello, I'm late. Okay, those are the only questions. The rest are greetings. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of people say, yes, you've used tabs before. Some people haven't answered. So Susan, if you're there, can you answer? Doran and Lizette. Okay. And Yelena said no. Okay. So a tab is a way to have many different websites available and open to you at the same time. Now, I have some that are open constantly, which are these little guys, which is not a tab, it's a pin. And so I'll show you about that, but I always want to be able to click on this and have, this is the search for my classes, right? So this is like, I can show you guys what the next class is happening. And so I've pinned a tab that I like, so I can go to it all the time quickly. So these are like my fall classes, right? And so this is the access to my fall classes. And so when people, which by the way, I need to send you the information for my fall classes, but it's time to sign up for my fall classes. Anyway, so I go to I have open here the Google Drive shared drives where I have all my classes. So I have it pinned there. So these are also tabs, but they're permanently open. That's just why I have them here. Versus these are tabs that I just open right now and that I want to go to. So say that I, let me go to this plus sign here and click on it and a new tab opens. But each time on the start page, I click on this plus. So each one of these is a new tab. What a new tab is another web page, another site. So maybe on this one, in this page, I can go to Wikipedia. There we're going to go. On this one, I'm going to go to Google. On this one, I'm going to go to I don't know, Yahoo, right? So each one of these, I go back and forth and have things ready to go and open. The problem is when you're not using them. And this is so typical on the phone that people have 2,500,000 tabs open on their phone. So I'm going to show you also on your phone how to get rid of tabs. But in this case, it's as simple as you don't see an X next to them right now. All you see is the name. But see when I hover over this tab, see that X appears that wasn't there before. If my mouse is away, let me reshare this so that you can see just the window. So if I hover over this, the X appears, I click on it, the Yahoo tab is going to disappear and boom, one less tab. But I don't see the X's until I point to them. Okay, so if I point to this tab here and I see that X, that I have to go to the X and click on it to close that. And then that's one less tab open. Okay, so that's how you close them. And how you open them is by actually clicking on links. So let me go, for example, to the bbc.com again and say that I want to read about this, right? So I'm in the bbc.com homepage right now. If I click on the first article, I'm now in the next page. I've linked to another page. I'm in the specific China removes. I'm not in the basic BBC tab. So it didn't create a new tab. It keeps going, right? So if I go now to climate, see, it changed to climate. So we're all in the same tab. I'm all in the same tab. If I go to world, I'm in the same tab. But sometimes I don't want to leave this tab. So maybe sometimes I want to be able to have a new tab open. So for example, if you go to the homepage, to Santa Barbara's homepage, and you click on pipeline, that changed to the portal, right? I put in this information, I say log in, and it again changes. But if I go to faculty student resources, this is where you guys find your handouts, right? Student resources, it changed again. See that? Now, watch. From here, if I click on Google Drive, student resources will stay, but a new tab will open. So I'm going to click on Google Drive. See how a new tab opened? Because this is a new place. And so I can still go back to student resources and stay on my drive. So that's a feature that links have, whether to open up and keep changing themselves or to open up new tabs. So some sites have a lot of those. And every time you click on a link, it opens a new tab, a new tab, a new tab. And next thing you know, you have 10 tabs open that you didn't even notice was happening, because it's this kind of thing where I can keep going back here or here. So I haven't really left this one. If I were to open now any of these, say Google Groups, it opens up as a new tab. I can keep going back to student resources. If I open up LinkedIn Learning, see, it opens up as a new tab. You see that? Each one of these is a new tab. This has not gone away. So next thing I know, I have a ton of these apps, you know, they're all there. And if I move, you know, don't need them, this is the only one. They become smaller and smaller until you don't read the name. Then you have to guess what it is. Really, if this is the only one that you wanted, then, and you don't need the rest, they're still there. They're just kind of hanging out there. And that is what slows down the computer. So I recommend going to any of the tabs that you don't want. You don't even need to go to it. I don't need to click on this tab to close it. No, I can just hover over this tab, hover over the BBC world. It shows me, and just click on this to close BBC without going to it, right? Close my groups, close LinkedIn, and then I'm back to just the drive. So this would be to go to the Mac. I'm going to share drives, and then I'll go into the Mac Mac folder. This all stays. So now I can go back from student resource to Mac folder. I do that a lot to have those two open. Okay, but if I don't need them all open, I don't need history anymore. I can close history. Okay, and then I'm down with just two. So if you ever have a lot and you wonder how many tabs I have, if you go to the word window, and I need to share my entire screen again. I might have to share my entire screen because it becomes too small for you guys, but to show you this top area there, go to window. It'll show you that I only have 2 open tabs right now, right? 2 windows, the general, not tabs. And this is still I had not closed my Safari preferences and this window. But in this window, I might have many, many tabs open. And the only way to navigate them, and I'm opening a ton of them again. I'm opening a ton of tabs. Each time I go a plus, I'm going to one of these favorites to open something else. Then each one of these doesn't show up. It still is just 2 windows, right? Why? Because you can also have a new window open. So if I go to Safari and say new window, so here I have a new window, and suddenly I have this one. I'm looking at Yahoo, and I'm opening another, you know, I'm in TripAdvisor, or I'm in weather. So the danger is when people have a lot of windows open, because tabs, you can see you have a lot open, but some people don't notice that they have a lot of windows open. Now, this is something I want to teach you about. So I want everyone to open a second window, because this applies to every app that we're going to be learning from here to the rest of this whole class, is handling windows and apps. So go to Safari and say File, New Window, or you can also say New Private Window. And now I have 3 windows open. I have a new private window. I have another window. I have another window. I have 3 windows open. Now, this is so typical when people share their screens that they have all these windows open. You might not have done it, but I know a lot of people do that. Some people have the settings in their preferences, by the way, and that would be a problem, which each time you Safari, when you open a new tab, if you have it open a new window, oof, that's really bad. So anyway, does everyone have 2 or 3 windows open?
Mhm.
Go ahead and do that. And I'll show you the good and the bad of this, but I definitely need you to do this. Now, when you have a new window starting in your start page, up here you'll have your favorites. Now, if you've not chosen these favorites, it's because the computer, when you first buy the computer, it has agreements with these companies, right? They probably pay, I don't know. them, and they have a link to these things. And you're like, I've never used Twitter in my life. I don't check the weather ever. I don't know about TripAdvisor. They're there because they're set up by Apple for you to have some initial tabs to go to. But you might not want them. It's like, I'll never go to any of these. Why do I have them here? And instead, you might want to put in here the ones that you go to a lot. But for now, if under favorites, you just have whatever is here, just go to them. And the problem with this is that a lot of people think that to close a program, and we kind of did this also early on in the first few classes, but this one is one that I have to keep repeating all the time. A lot of people think that the way to close a program is to close from the little red X. So if I say, go close your Safari, every time people share their screens, every time I say, go close your programs, you'll see them go to the red X on something, right? And close it that way. Well, guess what? Safari doesn't close, just that window closed, okay? You can have many, many windows open, and I'm going to open a few more, and a couple new windows. I'm going to open a few windows. You can have a ton of windows open and not know that they're open, because sometimes in one way or another, you might have just minimized that window. So go over here to this, instead of the red X, right next to it, there's a yellow kind of dash. Click on that yellow dash, and that minimizes that window. And then this one, I go, oh, I don't need this window anymore. I close that one, and then I minimize, I close that one, and then I minimize that one. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. Other than the preferences, I figure, phew, I've closed Safari. So go ahead and minimize 2 of those windows. And then it looks like Safari is gone. If I click over here on any of the Finder windows, Safari isn't there. It's like, oh yeah, I closed Safari. But in fact, I have not closed Safari. All I've done is Safari is still running. All I've done was I've minimized the windows. If I go over here next to the trash can, right? And I click on this thing here, I opened up, there was the window, and there was this window. Now, many of you guys are like, no, I never do that. I don't minimize windows. Okay, well then close all these windows. Close that window. Close the window. Or pay attention that I'm saying not quit the program or close the program. I'm saying close the window. Okay, good. Now I have nothing waiting there. I don't have any Safari open anymore. I've closed the program. Have I closed the program?
No,
And how can I tell?
because there's a dot under the Safari.
Yes. If I go down here to Safari, there's a dot. The program is not closed. I've just closed all of its windows. Well, you say, isn't that the same thing? No, no. The computer is running the program. So it still has in the memory all of the cache, which is like the memory of all those apps and tabs that you have open, all those windows you have open, or that it needs to know to be running. So that is still slowing down your computer. So as long as you see a dot somewhere under something, and if it looks like nothing is open, those programs are open. They're just the windows have closed. The windows are closed, but the programs are still open. So if I were to click on this thing, a new window appears automatically, right? It was there. I didn't have to open the program because the program was running all along. So closing this doesn't close programs. It just closes windows in that program. This happens with just about every app that we're going to be opening in the future. So whenever I say that you need to close a program, I will say usually quit a program. But if you say close a program, close the entire application, the only way to do that is going all the way to the name and saying quit, or shortcut Command Q, or go here to the tab, right click and quit. Now the dot disappears. Now you have actually closed the program. And this goes for Safari and for everything else that we're going to be using. So I'm teaching you something that's universal, right? So when you open it again, now it opens up, it starts from 0 again. When you're done with it, right click, quit. I am a shortcut person. So when I want to close the program, I just go to my keyboard and I hold down the command key and then I hit the Q for quit and boom, I've quit. That's the shortcut for quit. I use keep shortcuts all the time, but you don't have to remember the shortcuts. You just need to remember, go to the dock, right click, quick. As much as you go to the dock to open it, single click. Do not ever close things from the dock. That only closes the windows. Now, I'm going to go ahead and right click quit again to close the program. And I've shown you many times to open, especially last class, we were on the Finder organizing our files. I've said, go to the Finder and open a Finder window. Now, remember I just talked to you about the Safari window that we're closing versus the program. So if you open a window in Safari and you open a new Finder window, you can keep opening Finder windows, and when you can be looking at applications and when you can be looking at, I don't know, downloads, and another one you could be looking at, documents or whatever you're looking at. These are all Finder windows. Yeah. So each one is looking at something else. When you close them, you're closing the Finder window. So that's not closing the Finder. The Finder still says open. It's a window. See, the Finder is still open. You cannot quit the Finder because it's what runs the computer, but it's equivalent to that. Whenever you open any of these things, you have to close the entire program by quitting it instead of just closing the windows. Now, it's confusing because if I open my system preferences, right, this is a window, a system preference window. But if I look over here and I close this X, boom, the program also closed. See, there's no dot in there. There's a few applications, a few of them only, that if you close from the X, you also close the application, just a few of them. But there's enough that people get confused and they think this is how it always works. And so you think, oh, there we go. I've closed the application. Well, guess what? In the system preferences, that worked. And it's usually these small ones that do that. This small applications that are like unique, have one sole purpose, because there's no option to have another window. That's the thing. There is no plan B. When I click on this, it doesn't change a window. It goes to something else. I go back here, I go to this, and I go back here. See how never another window opens. So if I close the only window it has, the program closes itself. So since it's hard to know which times to do that and which times to not do that, my goal is just never close the program by here, because you can always close it by going to System Preferences Quit, or by Command Q, or by right click quick. So if you always quit programs this way, because it works for the few that actually use the window, then you'll never make a mistake. Does that make sense? Because the few that get closed with the red X leave themselves open, and that does hamper your computer's work. Or just keep an eye on this all the time and clean it up every now and then. Go, I'm not using this. Right click quit, right click quit, right click quit. Now, don't quit Zoom, of course, because we're working on it, but just kind of try to, it helps your whole computer reset itself when you quit programs that you're not using. All right. So since we're going to be using other programs, I want to be clear that I want you always to be, as much as possible, quitting other stuff completely. All right. So last thing about Safari. Let's open Safari again in case you have quit it. If you do have a lot of windows open, and now I'm going to go ahead and open again, just a bunch of windows without doing anything with them. I'm going to open a bunch of windows. Any program that has the possibility of open more windows, up in the top, you'll always see the word window there. And if you click on that, it'll tell you how many windows you have open way at the bottom of them, right? And you can flip through them. So say that here I'm in Wikipedia, and then here I'm in Yahoo, and then here I'm in Google, so I have start page. So when I go now to window, it'll tell me this one's on my start page, this is in Wikipedia, this is in Yahoo. See that? So I can go to, okay, I want to bring Yahoo. Boom, the Yahoo page pops open. Or I want to go to the Google. Boom, the Google pops open. Or I want to go to Wikipedia. boom, Wikipedia comes to the front. See that? So even when you have a lot of windows, if there's a real reason to have a lot of windows open, you can organize and go to them by this setup start page. Okay. Now, since I don't really want all of those open, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to close that window, not the program, but the window. Right. And I'm going to click on here and close that window. Click in here and close that window. Right. And I'm left with just the start page. So now if you did do that and you have too many windows and it's confusing, just quit Safari again to close all your windows and then just open it one more time to have just one window open. All right. Now I'm going to share only this window because I'm going to show you a few more things about this and then we're going to take our break. Everything I'm showing you, I'm starting with Safari because it's a quick open close program without many complications. It's just the internet. But the features I'm teaching you right now are correct for every other app that has many more nuances. We're going to be opening other apps that have many more nuances to them. But all of this applies to all of them, right? So whatever I'm teaching you here is identical everywhere, right? And so that's why it's a good one to start with to teach you these kind of features. I'm seeing a question, how to close an app that won't with Command Q or quit from the dock.
Or force quit. Won't even show me force quit as an option.
Oh, well, when something is, you should never use force quit unless it's absolutely frozen, unless you have like one of those little rainbows of death that never leaves, that kind of stuff. That's the only time you should use the force quit, because the force quit is, it's kind of like pulling the plug off of your computer. It's really bad for your computer. But if your computer is stuck and frozen, then yes, under the Apple, there's a thing called force quit, and then you can choose. But but I don't want people to get accustomed to this. You would only, if the app is not responding, it'll be in red and it'll say app is not responding. That's the only app you should ever force quit. But don't ever force quit anything that's working well, ever. It's really kind of, this creates weird stuff on your computer if you force quit stuff without doing it. So when people ask me about force quit, I'm like, where did you even learn about that? Because it should rarely be used. Your computers rarely need to be anything to be force quit. That said, if something is absolutely frozen.
I have Word open on my computer and I want to close it. And when I hit quit, nothing happens. It asks me if I want to save what I'm working on. I click save, but it does not quit the app.
Okay, so at 90% of the time, that's a perfect example of when never to use force quit, because the app is not working. It's probably some other issue. So can you share your screen so I can help you? Do you remember how to share your screen? I can walk you through it. Because this is thank you, by the way. I want people to share these kind of questions because it's what doesn't follow the rule that I'm teaching you that you need to know, right? So when people just sit and watch and don't do things, you learn less than when you actually have things happening and ask me questions. So hold on, I need to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. So now what you have here is okay, Julia's saying you have the same issue with your mail. Okay. All right. So here we go. I don't see your doc. Can you point to your doc? Can you pull your doc open so that I can see it?
I've got a doc open here.
Yeah, no, but your doc, your not your doc like document, but that one. Okay. So here we go. And oh, you're in a pretty old version, right? Of Safari. What version of, what are you on?
I'm on what do you call it?
This is
High
macOS
Sierra.
High Sierra. Okay, it's like 7 or 8 years old. Okay,
Yeah,
it does
it
make a
won't do
difference.
it
Okay,
anymore. I can't update it anymore.
that's fine. Okay, hold down, go to your doc again. There. Okay, so right click and quit. And there's two things. Wait, stop before you go. Before you quit, look it up at there. You have two things open. You have two documents open. You have your amusing story and you have another one. The other one is one we're seeing because it has a check mark on it. You also have your amusing story open, which you might not be aware. See, it's those windows that are other windows that are open that might be stopping us, right? So let's go to that, your amusing story. Click on that. And it's this one. Okay, so you had these two things open. Now go back to quit and let's see what happens. Right click and quit. And see, do you want to save the changes you made? Go ahead and say yes or not, save, okay? And then go to the other one and see if there's a save to your other app. And another way to go to the other window, hold on. Don't move things. The one thing I'm trying to teach everyone is to not move things around. Leave that there. Go up to right above where your mouse is, you see the word window.
Mm-hmm.
And then that shows you how to close things. And okay, it looks like you did close the other one, so that's good. So you're left with just one. Good. So now let's close this one window from the red dot, just the window of Word. Yeah, click on that, see if it now closes. Do you want to save the changes? Go ahead and save. It's not closing. So now this something with this one document that's not closing. Is it, do you have any links in here or issues that might be?
No, well, I mean, there's
problem?
the email addresses or something, but
Yeah.
basically this is a document. and
So
it
there's
won't-
an issue with this app because the other window closed. The one that was your
Right.
music story is gone now. So there's something in this document that's an issue. Do you know where this document is saved?
Where it's saved?
Um, Yeah, so let me just show you a trick. Let me just show
okay.
you a trick. Go over to the middle of this window where you see the name of it, although this one doesn't seem to have a name. Go up to, put your mouse on the dock on the top. On the top. Yeah, and now go to the bit more to the middle where you see like a tiny little ghosty. Yeah, keep going to the right. Keep going to the right. There. Now above that, right above that, there's like a little, right? Yeah, right click on that. It's not,
It's
okay.
grayed out.
Yeah, it's grayed out. So that's another reason I'm seeing that there's something wrong because this should have the name of the file there. I wanted to see where it was saved. Go ahead and go to the file save as, and let's see where it's saved. On the left side, file save as, and that'll tell us where it's saved.
Uh-huh.
See, okay, so it needs to be updated by its developer to improve compatibility. You're having a problem with this FAP. Say okay to that. Microsoft error report needs to close. Go ahead and say don't send. Okay. And now it closed. Now if you now go, let's go to this one again, and this one is appendix doc recovered. Okay, so now so that was, see how it has a name now up there
Yeah.
before it
yep.
didn't. Okay, so now you should be able to close it correctly. Now you're in Safari, so you move to Safari. So go back to Word. Okay, so now go ahead and say file quit and Microsoft quit, and let's see if that works. It's still having an issue with that one. Let me let Maureen in. Want to save the changes, say save. Yeah, you're having an issue with this.
Oh,
Oh, no, there it is, Appendix C. It's telling you where to save it.
okay, because it wasn't giving me that option before.
Yeah, and now it's closed. Now it quit.
Cool.
Okay, so you guys, all I'm gonna say, and this was, if you guys have never used Word, you wouldn't understand. Now go down to your doc to show everyone that Word has closed. When you have a problem, see how Word now has no dot? When you have problems internally to a program not closing, that's not the same as it crashing. There was one document there that had an issue, right? And so you have to go deal with that issue for that document. Then the program happily closes. It was just, there was an issue with that document that he had to go and
Right.
deal with it. And you have to pay attention to the dialog boxes, read them, follow them through. Then the program closed happily. Okay. So
Great, thank you.
you're welcome. All right. There's one thing that Julie, it's time for break, guys. I'm almost done with this. So let me finish this and then we'll take our break. There's a question that Julie had in the doc that says my mail program won't close. And yes, I have had that happen actually. When you have the mail program open, occasionally I try to close on it, it won't close either. And again, it's some internal thing that it's handling something with an email, and it's very frustrating. If I ever use the force quit, it's on that one,
Yeah.
which is not good, but I have no idea. And I've tried to look it up with Apple, and they don't have any solution to it. I don't know why. I think it's in the middle of checking things and it doesn't warn you, and it just won't quit until it's done checking. And then if you wait it out, it does quit, but it takes a long time. So yeah, but I agree that one can sometimes. It's the only app that I ever know that just kind of hangs itself like that and won't quit. So anyway, last thing, and then we're going to take our break. Thanks for asking that. by the way, because it was a good time to demonstrate that, yeah, for the most part, apps don't close when they have things open and there's a dialog box telling you something. So I should have pointed it out. The dialog box was there and it was saying that there was a problem, error reporting, that whole thing, but it was behind the window. So, so Rinzai couldn't see it. All he could see was that it wasn't closing. It wasn't closing. Force quitting it would have closed it. But then when you open it again, that file that he was working on might have lost the data. And that was data that was important, right? It was contacts and links and stuff. So you don't want, when you force quit, things don't get saved and then you might lose that information. Okay. In this case, it gave a recovered version. I don't know if you noticed that the file next to it had a name and it said recovered between parentheses.
Right.
That's a word feature. It recovered the data. It closed the bad file and opened a new one with recovered data. And then he was able to save that one. Okay. Anyway, last thing, we were talking about all these favorites. Now, a favorite is basically a bookmark. A bookmark is basically a place that you want to go back to, but there's regular bookmarks and there's favorite bookmarks. So let me show you a little bit more how to do that. Say that the ones that you have here are the ones that Apple gave you. You might have more if you've made more underneath that. I don't know if you have them, but how did you ever get to them? So let's all go to a website, any website. Let's go to somebody tell me something you go to a lot or that you want me to go to now for an example. Throw out some website name. All right.
CaliforniaCoastline.org.
Actually, you must have said that before because look, I have it right there. California Coastline line.org. I was hoping for something a bit simpler for people to write, but there you go. I go to californiacoastal.org and I hit return. And here's this this page. Now, I have to say, you must have given this exact example before. I'm going to just say, because see, I have it right there.
Oh.
So I want to use a different one only because I already have that one as a favorite. So I'm going to click in there and I'm going to write another one just because I can't give you an example with a favorite they already have. Let me just go since no one else is speaking up. By the way, thank you for speaking up. Now I know twice. Let's go to bbc.com because it's quick for everyone to just write bbc.com. Okay. So now, did everyone go to bbc.com? You might never go to BBC, by the way, and you can get rid of this later. But right now, I just want everyone to make a recognizable bookmark. So here I am. Say that I want to come to BBC all the time because I read the BBC all the time, right? I don't want to have to be typing bbc.com all the time. So one thing I can do is make this into a bookmark. And if you guys notice, if I have to share the problem when I share my entire screen is that it gets humongous for you, but I want to show you that top row right there that says bookmarks. See that right there? So I'm going to go back to sharing only this, but when I share only this, I'll show you that I'm going to say, I'm going to go to bookmarks and then you're going to see this, but then I don't have to share this entire window with you. Okay. So know that when I say go to bookmarks, there's like history, bookmarks, view, history. That's what I'll be talking about. Okay. So now I'm going to share only this window. And see what I mean? That you can't see the word bookmarks anymore, but I'm going to say that's bookmarks. And then I'm clicking on that word bookmarks up there. Okay. All right. So say that I want to make a bookmark for this place, right? Which means I want to come back to this quickly. There's so many different ways to do it. One way would be to go up to the word bookmarks, right? And add bookmark. Now there's a good shortcut, which is Command D, and I put bookmarks in all the time. So I actually use the Command D a lot. Okay. So I don't have to go up to bookmarks, but say that I want to add this bookmark. Okay. So I'm going to click on add bookmark and it's going to ask me, so add this page to favorites. And if I go yes, or do you want just have to be a regular bookmark? So you can click on this and have it be favorites or have it be bookmark, favorites or bookmark. Okay. So say that I say, yes, I want it to be a favorite, right? And then it says BBC homepage. Well, maybe I don't want all that name there. Maybe I just want it to say BBC. I like how shorten my names. BBC is enough. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete that part of it. And I just want it to be a favorite that says BBC. All right. And I'm going to say add. Right. So now I've added that. So let's go see. I'm going to open a new tab. And there you go. See how now I have the favorites BBC has been added there. It's popping in as a favorites. Now, let's go in and go to some other place. Anyone else? Some other place I can go to?
DuckDuckGo, is that a search engine or?
It's a search engine, yeah. So you can go to DuckDuckGo and click on that. And since I didn't have its website, it takes me to Google. Remember that I said that when you go and you don't know the name of where to go, it turns into a search and it looks like it was duckduckgo.com. Okay. So then I'll open up DuckDuckGo. So say that you want to be able to go here. Remember I told you that you could change in the preferences to have your search always be DuckDuckGo. Remember I taught you that last week. But says you want to go to it as a page. So then that you want to save this one as a favorite, right? So then let's go ahead and do that again. Bookmark. I would do Command D, right? And so instead of privacy simplified, I'll just go to DuckDuckGo, get rid of all that and save it as a favorites again. You could add a description if you want, you know, like search engine. I've never used this portion. Private or private. It's not private search engine. It's kind of weird. Search engine that preserves your privacy would be it too much. Basically, all it does is it doesn't collect history, really. That's mainly what it does. So I'm going to say add. Okay. So again, if I go now to my start page, it's like, oh, wait, I just made a favorite, but it's not here. See how the first one was here and the next one isn't? Well, I have too many for the first two rows, so I can go over here to this show all. Click on show all. There, now I'm seeing DuckDuckGo. Okay, that? So show less, it shows you the first two rows. Show all, it shows you that one. Now, what if you have stuff here that you never wanted? I'm never going to go to TripAdvisor, for example. Well, oops, I actually clicked on it to go to it. I didn't mean to. So you can actually right click and delete. Right. So say that you don't want that one. You don't need to. You can just delete that one. Boom, it's gone. So now you only leave the ones that matter here. If you never go to, I have 2 Googles here. I don't need 2 Googles. I'll delete one of them. And that helps you make more space for the ones that you're going to go to. Okay. So now they start falling in. Now it doesn't say show all because they fit within the first 2. But when you have a ton, then you can see 2 or 3 at a time, and that's where you go get them. Now, let's make another bookmark that's not a favorite. So let's go to, I don't know, let's go to Amazon.com. Amazon.com. So now in Amazon.com, I want to make a bookmark, but I don't want to put it in the favorites. So when I make a bookmark here, let me add a bookmark. This time I'm going to tell it, just add it to the regular bookmarks, please. I don't need it to be a favorite, right? And again, I'm going to just get rid of all the extra stuff and just call it Amazon. Just want that to be a bookmark for Amazon. Thank you. I'm going to add that. So where do I find those bookmarks, right? So say that I close all of these guys now, right? And I don't have any of them. And I'm going to just have a start page. I don't see the rest of my bookmarks in here. I only see my favorites in this start page. So the rest of my bookmarks would be, see this little tab right there? I can click on that and it shows me a sidebar, which I don't need to have this big. And in my, it shows me a sidebar. So again, it's this little guy that I turn on or off, It's a sidebar. Okay. And then one of the things it has is my bookmarks. So if I click on bookmarks, I discover that these were my favorites. And these are regular bookmarks. So if I could click on this little arrow and close it, that's my favorites. Apple, Google, Bing, Mac Handouts, iCloud. See, there's all these. And this is one that I made once if you guys want to bookmark where the handouts for the Mac class are, for example, then you don't have to be searching for it each time. You can just bookmark your handouts. That's an example of what I was making by having this one. Now, this is where you see them, or this is where you see them, both places. And this here, there's Amazon. The last one I made dropped to the bottom. There's Amazon. That's the last one that I had made. I also have one for Piscucci. Here we go, right? Or one of our students here owns Vino Divino. So I did this once for them, okay? So that's where you see the rest of your bookmarks if you need to go to them. And these are your favorites. Now, say that you also want to move Amazon to your favorites. I can just do it over here. I can grab Amazon here and drop it here under favorites. And I'll put it at the top because I shop all the time. Then it's become one of my top ones. And then I go, I never go to Bing, but I don't want to get rid of it. I move it out. So I've moved things in and out of favorites up here too. For those of you who know how to handle files, it's the same way. But if this is confusing to you because you don't normally handle files, then don't. So I'm going to move the coastal over here. So when I go now to start a new file, Amazon is at the top of my list. I moved out the coastal. I can also do it here. I can go, I said, no, Amazon's not so important. I can drag it over here. I'm going to move it over there. Or I want BBC at the top because I check BBC all the time. So you can work with this kind of stuff to put it in there. Sorry. Come on. There we go. I was leaving it outside of the grid. You can move it there. You can move it in here. When you don't need your bookmarks anymore, you just tab that out and then you have more space to just keep going. So what you should do here is fill this with only the things that you do the most and you go to all the time and not the ones that Apple sets up for you there. I need to clean this up because I've changed this so much in classes that I don't remember anymore which ones are the ones that Apple sets up for the beginning. I think Bing is one of the Apple ones that I should leave there. Yahoo, I believe, is one of the ones that Apple has anyway. But then here I have SBCC and I'm close this out. Every time I need to go straight to pipeline, I just have pipeline right there. Boom, pipeline. So I don't have to even go to SBCC pipeline, right? So anyway, that's a way that this start page can help you with the favorites. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Oh, I see there's a hand. I'm going to just show you a couple more. I do want to, yes, Yolanda.
So there's no, we could alphabetize like the reading list and then the favorites. I noticed that on the favorites you were manually putting the other one and the other one on before that.
Yeah. Yes, you can. I'll show you now another. I think there's a way that you can alphabetize them, but I just wanted to say, you shouldn't have 2,000 favorites, right? If you have 10 favorites, because they're the things you go to the most, it's easy to say, well, the thing I do the most is I shop. Boom, put Amazon at the top. The next thing I do the most is check the news. You put it at the top. So it's more useful than to alphabetize them. But if you have hundreds, like you might have hundreds of bookmarks, then yeah, you might want to alphabetize them. So I'm going to move these to the back again. Let me show you how another way to see all of your bookmarks. So if you go, I'm going to close this up. If you go up to bookmarks, you can just say edit bookmarks. And when you say edit bookmarks, then you have an entire page here that shows you nothing but, so it's not a sidebar anymore. This is truly the full-on place to see all your bookmarks. So here you have all your favorites, right? Here you have, and I'm going to close my favorites. And then this is just the loose bookmarks. You also have a thing called tab favorite groups where you can have a whole group of things like all of your, you check CNN, you check BBC, you check, whatever websites you check, you put them all together and you call them all like news tab or something like that, right? But anyway, I'm just saying that if you're in here, I believe that you can now sort them. And I'm not sure if you can. No, it doesn't have any like option to sort. Let me view. I'm just seeing this. I've never tried to sort, so I'm just trying to see if there's a sorting feature to the bookmarks window.
Range tabs by.
And yeah, but that's tabs, which is not the same. No, I would have to look it up. I don't think, I was wondering if there's a way, if I select all of these, is there a way to sort them? I don't think so. There's no choice here to say sort by alphabetical order. Problem is that the name they're given here is different than the website address, which is over here. So would it sort by address or by name? I don't see it, Yolanda. I don't see a way. I think the only way is to say, I want this one up top and I want this one underneath and I want that one there. That's how I've always done it. So I really don't know that there's any way. Now, what I like to do is folders of tabs. So I'll put like all the tabs referring to my kids in one folder, all the tabs that are about work and other tabs that are about teaching classes. So I'll have a folder where I put all of my research tabs and stuff like that. And then otherwise this long list of tabs can get crazy. You got, some of you might have like 2,000 tabs, who knows? So I just make a folder, right? And I call this one teaching, for example, tabs. And then I'll grab all the tabs that are about teaching. I'll put them in there and I'll just go ahead and say, imagine that this was teaching. I'll put it in there. Say that this is teaching. I'll put it in there, right? So that's just a way to organize them. Then later, then I'll have another folder for, you know, school, my kids' schools or, you know, things like that. So then when I'm done with that and I want to use my bookmarks, so I go over here and I want to go find my bookmarks, I can go over here and see how I have a folder called teaching now, under which I can go and find all my different teaching tabs, right? These are not teaching tabs, but that's what I do. So instead of having so many loose stuff, I create folders. So for those of you who've been in my organizing classes, for files or in my organized classes for iPhotos, you understand that folders always holds bunches of stuff together. So in here, in the edit bookmarks, I can create folders to hold things related to my family, right? Or I can rename it and call this one these are like family tabs, or these can be trip tabs or travel tabs, right? And so you put anything that has to do, or restaurants, or whatever it is that you want to save. And then that's where you put stuff that has to do, I think I have another restaurant here. So here I'll call this one restaurants tab. I'm going to rename it and call this one restaurants because I actually happen to have 2 restaurants right there. Okay. So then that makes more sense versus faking it. Or I can have one, I have one called news. Right. And so then I'll put CNN. Where did I put BBC was here. I'll grab BBC. I'll put it under news. I actually do have one. I have a news in my real wet tabs. I have a news and I have like the 5 or 6 different things or things that I go to now and then. Like I'll like to read something from the New Yorker, but not all the time. I want to check out the New York Times. I want to check out the Washington Post, whatever I want, I'll put it here. And every now and then I'll go, well, today I want to check this one. Tomorrow I want to check that one. So I have folders, right? And so then it becomes easier instead of having 2,000 tabs to have subfolders of the things that I go to. So the subfolder, you make a folder and then you drag the right thing into it. So I'm going to make a folder called class files. And so pipeline would go into that one, right? So now that's nicely organized. And when you have thousands of things and you close them, it's easier to see all your tabs. So now if I am here and I want to go to my teach, I'm in here and I'll go, let's see, where's the restaurants? Oh, there we go. Restaurants, there's my Pescucci's. Or let me go to the news, which of my new, oh, there I go to CNN, or right. How about if I want to go to class? Oh, there's my pipeline. Okay. So that's a way to make your bookmarks be more handleable. If you come here and you find that you have 2,000 bookmarks, make folders for them.
The folders, will they also, can they be alphabetized then, the folders?
You can organize them, but I don't think there's any particular feature, but you could put C in front above there, class, RN, you know, you can do that and oops, and move them yourself. But yeah, I don't think that they are, I have not found a single feature for
That's good enough. Thank you.
you do that. And if you have, 20 folders, you just do that and then that helps. I find that alphabetizing and bookmarks doesn't help me as much as what I do the most. So I'm teaching all the time. I'm researching stuff. I'll have my class ones there. Actually, I use the internet for the news myself. So news is one of my top folders, stuff like that. All right. Another question. Let me just say, but the bookmarks don't appear here. Hold on, Julie. Don't appear here, just the favorites, because they're like the top 20 things you go to. That kind of covers my needs usually. And I'll only put under bookmarks things that are in the folders, things that I know, like every time I need to do research into something that I know is a good site, but I won't need often, then I'll put it in a bookmark in a folder. Other than that, the favorites kind of covers my basic needs. Now, one more thing that this page has is anything that the computer knows I go to a lot, it automatically puts my frequently visited here. So clearly this computer knows that I'm always going to Pipeline, I'm going to my shared drives, and I'm going to my mail, because that's what I do in this one. And so it put here the ones I do the most. If I were to go all the time shopping, it would have Amazon here. If I were to go all the time looking at the news in this computer, it would have my news ones here. So that's another way beyond my favorites. It just knows, well, you go here a lot. So then I can just go click on here and boom, there I am in my class files, in my class folders. So that's another good thing about this start page. It helps me get quickly to the things that I normally do the most. And then let's ignore the reading list for now, because I need to give you guys a break. The most interesting thing at the very bottom, if you keep going down, you'll see from my phone, right? So on my phone Safari, I have these apps open, these tabs open. So if you have a lot of tabs in your phone Safari open, you can find them here. So if I go now to my phone, I have the use power mode to save battery, how many planets are in the solar system, our solar system, and Apple. Looks like I have these 4 tabs open in Safari on my phone. Let's go see if that's so. I'm going to go ahead and share my phone now. Oh, I don't have my phone on this computer. I have it on the other computer. Hold on. Here, I'm going to go share from here. Here it is. So I'm sharing my phone. And on this phone now, I'm going to go to Safari, which is, hold on, I need to move things out of the way. Here we go. So I'm going to go to Safari, which I have here down in this tab. Click on Safari. And yeah, look at that. Looks like I have 4 tabs, and they're the same 4 tabs. Our solar system. And if I click on this little thing right there, I can click and I see that I have how many planets, and that I change from tab to tab. And this is the one that people are surprised by. They go here and you have like 250 tabs open. I swear, people who use Safari, so go to this little thing right there on your phone, click there, and it'll tell you how many tabs you have open. And if you don't close them, the tabs stay open, right? So this is the part where I hear a lot of people go, oh, and it's because you discover you have 400 tabs open. I'm not exaggerating. Every time you open something, it stays unless you close it. So if I don't need whatever, how many planets are there? If I don't need that one, I should go over to this little X and close it. And now I only have 3 tabs open, right? And then I'll go back here, and that's the one that I've opened up. Now, the good news, vice versa, is that if I have tabs open on my computer, say that I have on my computer, I'll have DuckDuckGo and BBC and Twitter, or things like that open, just like I had before that I was opening many different things. Then over here, I can also find what things I have open on my computer. So I'll go over here, and these are my bookmarks. Okay, these are, remember, the favorites that I had made there. These are all the favorites. This is how I find them on my phone. These are the things that are not in favorites. These are my my folders that I just showed you I made. So when I go to my restaurants, there's Pescucci. So I just did this on my computer, but here I can see them. See that? I can go to that. And then I can also, no, not the share. Hold on. I can see all the tabs that are open on my computer, and somehow under this, I believe one of the, I don't remember right now, but I can see all the ones that are open in my computer. I think because I opened them afterwards, it's not showing them, but one of these would show you everything that's on my computer. It goes back and forth. From here, you can see what's on your computer, and your computer, you see what's on your phone. And here, well, by the way, and that's your history. If you go here again to this little bookmark, this is your history of things that you've been on your phone. Okay, so this is this morning's history. This is the reading list that I said I'd kind of not explain right now. And then this is your tabs. So I'm going to say done. And that's how you do this, how you do Safari on your phone. All right, so for now, I'm going to answer one more question and then give you guys a break because I'm way over the time. Yes, Julie?
Can I share my screen? Because I think I've made a mess of my bookmarks.
Okay, go ahead and do that. Meanwhile,
Can you see it now?
yep, I see that. Okay, so when you say you made a mess, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
Okay, I have the favorites, and when I
Mhm.
open that, it gives me things. I
Mhm.
think you sort of answered that the rest of these are not favorites because they're folders. Is that right?
They're not favorites. The only favorites are in the favorite. They're bookmarks. They're bookmarks, but they're not favorites.
Okay, so there's
That's
no
how-
line differentiating it, you know,
No,
with a
just
list.
the folder called favorites. That's the rest of your tabs. Yeah. Notice that you have a lot of very nicely organized folders and tabs and stuff like that. But in your favorites, you also have folders. So go to open your favorites again. You
Yeah,
also have favorites in there. So now go ahead and open a new tab so that we can go to your start page. Go up to the plus sign. And see, these are your favorites, which are individual tabs and a folder. See the folder called DuckDuckGo,
mhm.
or the folder,
Oh, I
looks
see.
like that's the only one. So that's the one, right? And when you open it, but I'm not sure why you have a folder in there for DuckDuckGo. Do you have?
No,
No. So that's weird. That's just a folder called DuckDuckGo, but you did not make a tab. And the same for the SB County. It's like that's also a folder. The SB County does have two things under it. It
yeah,
has SB County and Ancestry, but DuckDuckGo has nothing. So you really don't have a link here for DuckDuckGo. If you go to that folder, that does not take you to DuckDuckGo. That's just a folder. Folders don't take you anywhere. They hold stuff. That's an empty folder.
oh,
So if
What
you
do I
want to
do
go
with
that, so go to DuckDuckGo, go
Over
right
here?
DuckDuckGo one time. No, go up and search, go to DuckDuckGo, up just to search, go to the page. Yeah.
and type in DuckDuckGo?
Type in DuckDuckGo. Okay, now hit return to go to it. Okay. And now you can make that when you're there, now you can make that, go ahead and see Command D or go up to bookmark, add. Okay, so go ahead and go to add bookmark. And it'll ask you where, so go up there and yeah, take that out and instead of saving into this SB County Genealogical Society, go up to that, click on that and choose instead DuckDuckGo. Although
Here.
again, why would you put a folder for DuckDuckGo? I don't know. I would actually just put it loose on favorites and then get rid of the folder called DuckDuckGo. I don't think DuckDuckGo is the kind of thing that would have a folder. Yeah, put it in favorites and then say add. And then go and right click and get rid of the DuckDuckGo folder because it's not
This
a
one.
category. Yeah, you might want to have a folder called search engines and then you put Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo, that would make sense. But there you go. Now you have DuckDuckGo there on your favorites and the bottom of your favorites. You see it right there.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. So good. No, you have them. You have a lot and you have very organized stuff. So you're good.
I have another question, a quick question. This is a Mac computer. Why do I have Dell? We had a PC before
I
we,
don't know. Open it up and see what's in there. I guess at some point you saved that information. If you don't need it anymore, get rid of that whole thing. right
Okay.
click and get rid of all that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. A lot of people have bookmarks from like eon. These bookmarks stay. If you've made bookmarks 5 or 10 years ago and you never throw them away, they get inherited. And so, yeah, I'll have like bookmarks for the printer that I owned 5 years ago. And it's like, I don't need that anymore. So you need to go and delete them. They don't self-delete themselves, right? So yeah, go and check. A lot of people have bookmarks from eons ago, and every time you update your computer, they all get being inherited and they kept. And say that you want to choose, by the way, last thing, you have a Chrome and you say, oh, I'm going to suddenly adopt Safari. You can import all of the Chrome bookmarks into Safari, or if you want to say, oh, I'm going to adopt Chrome or Firefox, you can import all of the Safari bookmarks to Firefox. So you can import them so that you don't lose all the stuff that you've ever had. You can, all of them allow you to import the bookmarks either way so that you can keep using them all. Okay,
Great, thank you.
so break time, be back at, let me see, it's 11:02. So
11:17.
11:17 a.m. See you guys in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, if I didn't know most of the stuff, there's no way. It's kind of like your Spanish class.
All right. Back. Let's come on back to the computers. Give me a sign of life when you show up, either by opening your videos or giving me a little yes or a little green check if you're there, if you don't show your videos. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm seeing some of you are back. If I don't see, I'm sorry, I put my chair, I've been standing all this time, the last few weeks, and I just decided to sit for a bit in my chair. There you go. My, there was a thing in the way of my chair wheelchair, not wheelchair, the wheels of my chair. Okay, I'm seeing a couple more faces. All right, here we go. Now, when I shared my screen with you when I shared my phone with you, I'm going to share my phone really quickly again. For Safari, I know a lot of people, again, on their phones, you might or might not. Nope, that's not sharing the right thing. I'm going to share my phone. That one. There we go. There we are. So when I share my phone, a lot of people might or might not be using the Safari. Now, this phone that I share for teaching is set up as much as possible as the way phones just come when you buy them without changing anything. In which case, Safari was down here in this set of 4 main tabs. And so I was able to click on it and open Safari. But I know that a lot of people don't have, I'm just closing, I have a bunch of open stuff. A lot of people don't have the phone set up the way it came. So say that you can't find an app. So if you can't find Safari, click on the search. Where'd I do that? Again, click on this thing that's search. And if you don't see something that says search there because you have an older OS, then just put your mouse somewhere in the middle, in between apps, and just put your finger and then just kind of pull down a little bit, and then the search pops up. And then write Safari right there, and then Safari will pop up there. And then you'll have your Safari, okay? Now, once again, I don't know how many of you guys open many tabs on your phone. Maybe you don't. If I'm in this page and I want to look here, iPhone 14, learn more, and I click on learn more, this might have switched to this other, or it might have opened a new tab. I don't know right now. The only way I can know is I go to this bottom left icon and click on that, and that shows me how many tabs I have. In this case, that Apple switched to that. It didn't create a new one, okay? So how do you make more tabs? Again, it could be as simple as because you're in one of those sites that creates more tabs, or maybe you want to keep this because you're still researching this phone and you're not sure you want to leave it. Maybe it's an article you're reading you don't want to leave. So then you yourself open a new tab to go somewhere else. So say you're reading this article and you want to come back to it. So instead of changing here to something else, you just go and click on this same icon, right? And then you open a new tab. This is the plus sign that lets you open a new tab, just like I was showing you on the computer. So you click on this plus sign right there, that opens a new tab, and guess what you find? The good old start page, right? The same start page I had before, and there's my favorites, only it can only fit 8. So if I want to see more, I would have to click on this show all, and there's all my favorites, right? So if I show less, then they're there. And then down here is where I would see what's open on my Mac. Remember how on the computer we could see what was open on my phone? Here we can see what's open on my Mac. And what's open on my Mac is the New Zealand Philippines World Cup. I just went and opened a few things, right? And this is what is on my Mac, okay? So that is what I was looking at. So now I'll go back here and click on that. And those are the 4 tabs that I have open. But I found that only because I had opened a start page right there. And then you can go into your history, your Mac, things that you go to the most, or any of these things that are in your handouts. Okay. So if I go to show all, it takes me to the pipeline. If I click on pipeline, that's one of my shortcuts. See, my phone is now remembering my password. Why? Because I had it remembered before. So this is that same password that I told you that if you click to remember and to have it on, then instead of typing in this all the time, it's offering it to me right here. So I'll say, yeah, use that one. And I'll click on DE Musacchio. And then in this case, it's asking me for Face ID, but I didn't have it set up for my face. So that's the only problem there. There you go. And so now it's letting me in without having to put the password. And what remembered that is that preferences that I had set up in the computer. Now this is one of those where if I do zoom in a little bit and go to the good old student resources right there, which is the same thing we do on our computer. I get to the Google, we know that this is going to open in the computer. We saw that it opened a new tab. I'm going to try it here. I'll click on that. And yeah, it's opening my handouts. And I'm going to go over here to my drive and choose shared drives. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you how this is the same thing we were doing before. You might never go to the handouts on your phone, just kind of giving you the equivalency. If you ever are curious how to do that, you can watch from the recording. So now I'm going to the Mac right here, Mac class handouts, and here I am in my class handouts. And if I look down here in the tabs, I'll discover that each one of these opened as a different tab. So now I have 6 tabs. The one that was the Apple, the BBC, and then I have my pipeline, and then I have my handouts right here. Okay, so that I increased 6 tabs. And if you're not careful, you can easily increase to hundreds of tabs and then go, I'm not researching solar system anymore. Just go here, and that's how you close a tab. This is how you see your tabs on a phone. And this is how you close them. Again, you just, whoops, when I move my phone sideways, you go over here and you click on that and you close it. And there you go. Now I have 5 tabs. Okay. Let's say done to that. And I'm back to seeing whatever the last tab that I needed to see. All right. And then when I don't want to see Safari anymore, you pull it up out of the way and you're back. All right. So again, on your phone, how do you see the preferences? Because I showed you on the computer how to see the preferences. And by the way, again, this is something I'm showing you now for Safari, but it's for everything. How do you see preferences on the phone for any app? As much as I showed you on the computer, you always go to the name and you go to preferences for any app. On the phone, the preferences are always in the settings. So if I go to my settings app, and then I go, okay, I want to see what the preferences are for Safari. I have to go up and down until I find Safari. There it is. And there I click on the word Safari. And these would be the preferences of what I have available for my Safari. Okay. So again, the cross-site tracking, the block all cookies, all the stuff that I was showing you before. Which search engine should I use? Google. Remember, these are the out of fill. Do I want to block pop-ups or not? What do I want to do? So all of this is the same stuff that I was showing you on the computer, but for your phone. Okay, so these are the settings equivalent to the settings in the preferences on the Mac. Okay. And again, I know that a lot of this might be like a ton of stuff, information that you don't need. I don't even use Safari. Okay, it doesn't matter. Watch, pay attention. And then when you get into the situation where you go, well, I only use Chrome, fine, open Chrome. And if you have Chrome in here, open Chrome, you'll notice that under the settings, instead of Safari, you'll have an option here for the word Chrome. Open Chrome. That's, if you have Chrome set up, you'll have it right here. You click on that and then you'll go and find the settings for that. So the settings for all of the apps that you have on your phone will be here under settings. So say that now you want to change the settings for example, YouTube, click on that. And this is it. There's not that many settings for YouTube as much as there were for Safari, right? So you'll have, some phones have more or less settings. My camera has settings. There are the settings for my camera, etc. So this is where you change individual choices for any of the apps that are on your phone. It's on the basic computer settings for your phone or your app or your ad or your iPad, trying to say. Now, back to just my Mac on Ventura, the place where, say if I were to open here Safari, I'm going to open it again. Now this is my Mac on another device, but since it's the same account, the same Apple ID, so I have the same exact favorites, right? I had put the DuckDuckGo at the beginning and Amazon, I did that, you know, earlier on. So if I move it from here and decide to move this one to the back and move this one from here, move it to the back, next time I open this on my other computer, I will have them moved to here. Because why? What's the main link here? All these devices are connected to my same exact Apple ID. So what happens in one happens on the other, be it my phone, be it my iPad, be it one computer or the other. I have two computers here. Most people don't have two computers. I have them because I have to demo these two things. But as long as we have the same Apple ID that they're connected with, then any choices I make in one get replicated onto the other one. As long as, and this is the key, as long as in my settings, the choices are the same. Okay, so if I go to my iCloud in my system settings, iCloud, and then over here, I have what's in my iCloud app over here, and I go here to show all. This is the equivalent of what I was showing before on the other computer. This is if this Safari is turned on, and in my phone it's turned on, and in my computers it's turned on, then they will all have exactly the same bookmarks, the same favorites, the same, they'll remind what the other has open when the first one has opened, but this has to be on all of them, okay? A lot of people always say, well, I understand why contacts matters because, you know, if you put a phone number in one, you want the same phone number in the other. But why Safari? And so that's an example. It's bookmarks, open pages, open tabs, favorites, that kind of thing is what Safari will remember. And for some of you guys, that's so not important that you don't care. And for some of you, it's really important. But by showing you on this one, I'm making the same point as to anything else. So now we're going to begin to explore contacts and calendars and mail and other stuff like that. And this is really going to become more important because anything that's on here will be replicated on your computer or on your phone as long as, and this is the key, the same settings are chosen on all of them. Okay, so that's what matters the most. The one that I recommend having turned on for everyone is Find My Mac. On your phone, it's called Find My Phone. I think on your iPad, it would be called Find My iPad. And that's a feature that allows your device to be tracked. So if you don't have this on and you lose it, then you can't find it. So it's also to find people, right? So say that I have my family connected here, right? So I have a whole family connected, not to this one, this is my sample one, but in my real one, I have my family connected. So then I can use Find My features in order to find where my kids are, for example, like now, and by the way, they have to give permission to this. It's not like I just track them without them knowing. They can have it turned on or not, right? So it's not like you can track people without their knowledge. If they have it turned on, they know that you can find them, right? So it's not like a hidden feature. They need, you know, everyone has the right to say yes or no to being tracked by a certain person, right? But in my case, like right now, my youngest son is in the Channel Islands. And if I go to find my phone and I go look for his phone, I'll see it. Although I don't actually, they had to leave their phones behind. But anyway, I would be able to see where he is, right? So if you have
if you and your spouse or, you know, your kids, someone who you really need to trust that they're able to know where you are and what they are, that's a really good feature to have turned on. But also in case you lose it. So say that you can't find your phone anywhere. At some point, you know, my husband tends to lose his phone all the time. He doesn't really lose it. He just doesn't like know where he left it. So then when we've looked everywhere and can't find it, we'll go to find my phone and we'll track his phone and, oh, he left it in the car. And you can just see in the map, it's in the car, right? Because the car is parked outside the house or something like that. So it's really useful. But if something gets stolen, like from my computer, I can find my phone. From my phone, I can find my computer. From my iPad, I can find my phone. You know what I mean? So as long as you have it turned on everything, then you can find the other device. And so if it's stolen, you can trace it and things like that. All right, Deborah.
Yeah, this is actually about bookmarks. And if you need to save this for later, that's fine.
Well,
When I go to look at the edit bookmarks command, and I go to the long list of bookmarks and folders that's on the side of my screen.
Yeah.
Here's on the side of my screen.
Yeah.
They're not in alphabetical order.
Yeah, no, they're not. I checked, Yolanda was asking and I don't, yeah, you
It
just
just
have to.
doesn't happen. You have to do it
hand move
yourself
it.
manually
Yeah.
if you
Mhm.
really want to do it. Okay, that's all I need to know.
I mean, you know, we might want to search. I do not think, I didn't find the feature. That doesn't mean it's not possible. So, you know, when I don't know the answer, I didn't see the feature. That doesn't mean, so I say, can Safari bookmarks be sorted by alphabetical order, right? So I'll just ask. And then, yeah, you can sort, alphabetize, and rearrange them in the Safari sidebar. Oh, there you go. In the Safari
Okay.
app on your Mac, click the sidebar button in the toolbar, then click bookmarks, drag a bookmark or folder to see,
Yeah.
drag it.
It's
See,
dragging.
there you go.
Okay, which
You
is what
can
I'm
drag
doing.
it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Drag it to the new location. Yeah, but you can't like, how do I move my bookmarks?
Like search by alphabetical
Order, drag a bookmark up or down into the folder on the left. Yeah, so basically, yes, you can by hand.
Okay, thank
So
you.
there you go. So, but anyway, but at least now I know. Now I'm not doubting whether I know. I just searched for it and the information said, no, yeah, you can, but you can drag it. Which is, they shouldn't call it sort because sorting is when it automatically happens. So
Right,
interesting. But anyway, yeah, you can rearrange them yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Yolanda.
Hi, I don't know if this is the class where I could, on my iPhone, I lost contact. And I remember you taught us that if we are looking for something, an app, we can put it on the search. So I put it in the search and there were lots of like contacts folder, contacts productivity, contacts like for the lens.
Yeah, so that's actually, yeah, let me remind you, when you do a search, okay, it's like the spotlight search. And thank you for reminding me this because the general search, sorry, when you click and hold for quite a bit like I was doing, because I wasn't paying attention and anything started jiggling, be very careful. When things are jiggling, it's when you can lose them all. If you were to click on these, they'd leave. So just click on some neutral part again to stop them jiggling there. So the search, when you do a search, right? And so say that you write contacts, and I'm going to write contacts right now. It gives you the top hit here is the app itself, if you see the icon, but otherwise Siri gives you suggestions. Oh, do you want to find out other stuff? Are you talking about contact lenses? Are you talking? So Siri is what else? Maybe you're not wanting the contacts app. Maybe you were actually talking about contact something else. And so it gives you ideas. Then over here, it keeps your settings say that contacts is there, or tips. Oh, add contacts friendly. So the spotlight search, which is what this is doing, searches everything and everywhere. I have a file that's called the data generator contacts. So there it's finding it. Oh, I have some photos on apps that say the word contacts. Look at that, because these are screenshots, and the photo app, the computer can read your text in your photos. So it put that out. It also has a note where I can send stuff. And then it says search in app. So basically it gives you way too much, right? But that's the feature of, you can actually go to the search and say, give me only the app, right? In the settings. But if not, the spotlight settings, which I believe I showed last week, I showed the spotlight. And if I didn't, then maybe it was in another one of the earlier classes on the computer, shows you way more than what you want because it doesn't really know what you're looking for when you write the word contacts, but it thinks that the most probable thing you're looking for is the app. So it puts it at the top. But if you don't have it at the top, then maybe you deleted your contacts from your phone. I don't know.
So how do I put that in my, again, in my, the logo when you
Where you can find it, yeah. So so now if I click on this, it would open up the app, but that doesn't give you the way to put it in the center. So even if you found it, if you don't have it here, another way to do that. So say that you don't have your contacts app here, right? You look and I have it here actually, but if you don't have it. So then the other way would be to push to the right and push to the right all the way until you get to the app library.
Just a second, because what happened to me is when I tap on the contacts folder, there's already a name in there that possibly I was looking for, but I wanted to have that whole thing get into my, like what you have in the
Yeah,
front.
so what you want is this icon right there, right? So I'm saying if it's not here, one option would be move to the right and then move to the right again as many times, depending on how many apps you have. You move to the right until you get to the last one will be this one, which is the app library. And if you don't see it here, right, then you can search it from there. But over here, I see the icon. That's that one. And I can click and hold it. And then if you can use it from there, or you can drag it. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. It's just that it immediately wants to open up because it's so. I can then grab it from here and I can drag it out. See, I'm moving to the left and put it there somewhere. Okay, so what I did is I just dragged it out and I'm moving my finger over. And then when I let go there, I'm putting it in there. Now, since I already had it, I ended up putting both. So let me just show you again. Delete, remove it from the home screen. So once again, I went all the way to the app library, find the one you want. Maybe what I want is another one of these. So here's that freeform you're asking about. Like if I want one of these in my home app, and I don't know how many of these are in my home app or not. Say that there's my Apple Watch app that I'm not using. So I don't think I have it in my home app. Do I have it? Oh, I have it here in my second one, but these are installed by the computer. Like I didn't install it, but if I don't find it, then I go over here. Here's my Find My, once you begin to learn what the icons look like, I'm going to click on the utilities and there's my Find My app. So if I want my Find My to be up close, I'll click on it right there. And there it comes. So there's my Find My, there's my calculator, there's my other stuff. So now I can grab my Find My, okay, hold it down really tight, and then move to the left and drop it where you want it. And there, now I have my Find My in my front page. There you go. And there I've put it in there. It wasn't there before. Now, if I don't want it there anymore, I'll click and hold. And all I'm doing is I'm deleting the app from my home page, but I'm not deleting the app from, so be careful. I'm removing it from my home screen, but I don't want to delete the app. I want to keep the app in my phone. I just don't want it in the home screen. So then I do that. So if there's something on your home screen that you don't really want, like if you never check Apple TV and you don't want it there, you can click on that and you can, edit the home screen and then get rid of it from the home screen. So those are all ways of moving around your phone. I'm kind of torn because I have a lot to teach you. And actually, this is not an iPhone class. Usually what I try to do is whatever I teach you as the apps, then I try to show you the equivalent on the phone, but I can spend hours just teaching you how to comfortably work on your phone. And that would be a whole nother class. So just know that you can go over here, find the app. And if you don't see it visually, you can actually just go in here and type again and write. And they're all alphabetically ordered now, and you can find it this way. And then once you find it and you go, oh, there it was, ABC, there's the contacts app that I wanted to have, there it is. Now you can click it from here. You can also, I believe from here, you could probably hold it and say add to my home screen. It's just that I already have it on my home screen, so it's not giving my option. So then, as I said, you can just grab it and push it. Like I have to use my finger to pull it out. I'm pushing to the left and then I put it wherever I want it. Okay. So again, be careful. Don't delete that. Just remove it from the home screen if you don't want it, or if you do want it. Did that help, Yolanda?
Because I did not know where to find the the lib, you have an app.
Okay, so to find the library, you put your finger here and just drag to the right, to the left. Then keep dragging to the left. By the time you drag, the last thing you come to is the app library. So do that. Put your finger on your screen and drag to the left. Go ahead and do that. I don't see you doing it. Move to the left. So
Okay,
so if you're on your main page, put your finger here and then just swipe to the left. You'll go to another page. You might already be in your app library. Some people have 3 pages of apps. I have 2. Keep moving. And then the final one, when you can go no more, is the app library,
Okay, I found it. Thank you.
right?
Thank-
And then from there, put your finger on your contacts deep, hold it tight, deep, deep, deep. Hold it down, and then you can move it and drop it in any place you want. And this is the first page, and you drop it there. So you have to keep holding it down before you let go. And then there, once you let go, it shows up. Then you just click on some neutral area, and there it's sticking there. I don't need to, so I'm going to click and hold the screen again, and then click on this little minus to let go, remove it from the home screen, and then I'm done. So now I have done. And for those of you down here, like, again, you might want to not have them in here. Like, for example, I don't listen. This just came with a phone, but I don't listen to Apple Music. I listen to music somewhere else. So you can click and hold and say, move it over here, and then put another one that you use more in here. So I personally don't have these choices here. I have my mail app here. I have my messages. I have my WhatsApp. We don't make that many phone calls on our phone anymore, surprisingly enough. So I actually have my phone off. So I have put in here the 4 apps that I use the most. I use my notes. I use my messages. I use, I'm trying to remember what else I have here. I have my camera here because I want to be able to quickly take a picture. So those are the things I have down here, and it did just move them in and move them out. So I like my camera there. So I grabbed my camera and I moved it in here, right? But to do that, something has to disappear. So you have to first take something out, right? And then you decide, okay, now I'm going to put my camera in there, and there you go. So then you can personalize what you want down there. I'm going to actually move it out because I need to leave it the way kind of it comes, and it kind of comes with that set. But yeah, you can move things around, and then you have a quick access to the 4 that you use the most, right? So in my phone, I have the 4 that I use the most down here, instead of the 4 that come, because I don't need these 4 all the time. Yes, Julie?
Go back to the the Yahoo page where we have bookmarks on the left sidebar.
Mhm.
I know on other screens we can shrink that left sidebar. I can't seem to do that on the Yahoo page. What am I doing wrong?
On the Yahoo page or on the Safari?
Well, I'm on, Safari, but then
Okay, so here's mine. So you're talking about this one right here. When you open this, I can put my mouse here and make it bigger or smaller.
mine doesn't do that.
Well, it only gets a certain amount small, right? So it doesn't get any smaller than that. You could try to make it bigger and you'll see that it works. And then after a while, that's the smallest it'll get. So maybe you already
Okay.
have it at the smallest. If it moves to the right, you know that it's working, but that is the small list, which is why this is quick to
Okay.
turn on and off. You just don't need it on all the time. Open it to find something and then turn it off and keep, if you need it on all the time, it's going to always occupy half, a big proportion of your screen. So I don't have that on. I
I
just turn
see.
it on when
Okay.
I need it, and then I turn it off again. It's a quick button, so it's quick to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, you're welcome. All right, Doran?
I wrote you a message.
Oh, okay. Let me check the messages. I can't find my Mac in your MacBook. Okay, so good point. When you can't find something, let me share my entire screen. Okay, so when you can't find something, we go back to the thing that I was just showing Yolanda in the phone, which was the main search. That's equivalent to this spotlight right there, right? That little spotlight feature. And so over here, so say find my Mac, and then it'll open it. And it's a feature that's in your settings, right? Oh, find my Mac. So what it shows you is find my Mac, and it shows you the settings icon, right? So when you click on that, there's your settings, and it's in the settings. So definitely Find My Mac is always in your settings. And so over,
I did open the settings.
yeah, so go into your cloud. And it's in the show all of your iCloud drive. There's your Find My Mac. But if you want to use it to find someone, I don't want to click on this. I don't necessarily want to do it right now because it would be sharing with you all where I am. And I've had some situations where I've had some privacy issues with, so I try not to really show my home. But if you click on your Find My Mac, you'll be able to see it on your own. You should be able to see Find My Mac on your own. Now, Find My Mac is one of those.
I don't see it. I opened the.
Has anyone
reference.
else been able to find it, you guys? Has anyone else been able to use the Find My Mac feature? A couple of people that are saying yes. So, and you opened it from here. Let me stop my share. Let me see how much it shows before I go there. Okay. So actually, oh, well, there you go. You're sharing. Let me see. Let me actually, I need to go up here and open it bigger so I can see your details. Okay, so go where it says apps using iCloud and say show all. Okay, right in the middle where you see photos, iCloud, yes, I show all. Yeah, click on that. And there's Find My Mac.
Yeah.
So click on that one. And then hold on, don't say done. There it says Find My Mac is on. Okay, so that means that Locate Locker, Asus Mac Support accessories. One of the things that you can do, by the way, if your Mac has been stolen or if your phone has been stolen, this also allows you to erase your phone once you know that it's been stolen, you see that it's been taken somewhere, you know. And the thing about your phone is that now, if you have the latest operating system, it even shows you, and you actually, the operating system and the one of the latest phones, I believe as of Apple phone, iPhone 14 is when it started, I'm not sure. Maybe it's earlier. Then it can also lets you find my net. See, it says Find My Network is on. Participating in the Find My Network lets you locate this Mac even when it's offline. In the past, it had to be connected to the internet to find it. But now, as long as you have it tracing it, then if you know that your computer has been stolen, you can trace it this way, and then you can erase it or disable it so that they can't get into any of your data, even if it's offline. So that's pretty cool. And this all works until your phone dies as battery or your computer battery dies. And after that, then it's a goner. So if you ever think your stuff is truly missing or lost, you have to check for it early on while it still has a battery. Okay. All right. So yes.
Yeah, I was house sitting last week, well, 2 weeks, had my iPad there, which I was online with you last week on my iPad. And every time I left the house, of course, with my iPhone, I would get a notification on my phone that said, you know, Susan's iPad was left at a blah, 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 other place. So that was really cool. I didn't know that happened. It never in my house, but because it was a different location, it alerted me each time I left the house that I left my iPad behind.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So right now, for example, let me just show you. I'm going to connect my personal phone to the computer because in that one I have the settings working, and I'm just going to show you on my phone. I have to disconnect this one. Give me a sec because I need to give it permission, because I don't normally share this phone. Allow accessory, okay. And let me stop this share and share. This is my personal phone. And I'm going to trust this computer. Okay, so I'm going to say share. So this that I'm sharing right now is my actual phone. It's another device. Okay, so this is my actual real phone with all the stuff that I normally use on it. And down here, you see what I mean, that I've changed this to the stuff I use. But anyway, if I need to find someone in my family, right? And I'm like, where are they? I'll pull this down a little bit, right? And I'll write find my. So I'll go find my. And so just the word find brings it up. So I'll click on find my. And then this here is giving me an option. This is all my family members, right? So my 2 sons, my husband, and this is the girl that we've lived with us for 2 years that we hosted. Notice that she's now in Florianopolis. This is in Brazil. That's where she lives. And that's showing me where she was. Now, this is my youngest son, who right now is in the Channel Islands, but the phone says 2 miles, which can't be the Channel Islands. So I go check on it and I click on him, and he's doing a whole program with the Santa Barbara. He works at the Natural History Museum, and they're on a trip. And so there's his phone. Where does it showing up? His phone is showing up at Santa Barbara Natural History Museum right there. See that? If I go look for, I'm going to turn this off, and I go look for Sophia right now, it's putting her in Brazil. There she is. If I go down, she's in Brazil right now. Okay. Because she's visiting her family. So there it is. So it's showing me where each one of my family members that I'm looking for happen to be. See that? So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a good feature. So anyway, just wanted to share that part with you because I don't have that enabled in my school phone. And that's why I couldn't show it to you, but that's the feature. All right. Cool. There you go. Stop my share.
Is this because you're all on the same plan, or you're connected to each other just because of your cell?
No, you have to put them. So in my settings and your system settings, right? And so now I'm in the PC on the Ventura. Right under my name, this is my school, right? But this would be, in your case, you would have your name right under there. It says family. So you click on family and you add family members. And so if this in my real one, I have clicked here on add family member, and you can invite people to your family, and they have to choose. You can't like choose to see them without them knowing you, right? You can invite people. Actually, if it's a child under a certain age, you can actually add them yourself, because it's like, yeah, I have the right to do that. But other than that, you can invite people, because like Sophia is not my people, right? She's not in my family, but she lived with me, right? So I can send them an invitation, or I can in the airdrop, or I can email them, and I say, so I'll say that I say email and I continue. Then I'll be able to choose where they are, and I invite them, and they have to approve. They have to say yes, okay, and then they'll appear in here and they'll become my family member. So it doesn't need to be my family. In this case, Sophia is not a family member, but she said okay to that, and then so she was added here. So it doesn't necessarily need to be your family. It can be the 3 people that live in your home, or you know what I mean.
As long as they have iPhones.
And yeah, and yes. Well, actually, the Find My, I believe, was beginning to be able to be. Android doesn't have the same feature, but there's an app you can download in the Android where you can connect it to this Find My and you can use it. I was reading an article about that the other day. And also, like if you buy one of those tags that you can put onto your keys or your wallet or your car, or you can do that, or your cat, and then you can see them where they are. Yeah, so it's like, and then you would find them through the Find My as well, right? That's the feature that would help you trace them. The other day, Sophia, in fact, she had an electric bike here. She just moved back to Brazil, and then she's going to go to college in Georgia when she comes back. So they packed her electric bike and sent it to Georgia, and they dropped in that box a tag, an Apple tag. So they were able to tag the delivery of it and see with the Find My that it arrived safely in Georgia, the place that they want it to be. So that's another way to use those little Apple tags or whatever they're called. And it's through the Find My, right, that you find it. So another feature would be on your maps. And I know I'm kind of, this is actually beyond what I was planning to teach, but some things that are really useful I want you to know about them, right? And in the maps feature, so I'm going to open the maps feature. Let me reshare my screen, and let me close maps here. I was usually show the maps at the end, right? So I'm going to show you the maps now, just because that's kind of where we're at. But when I first opened the maps, and I'm open the entire, let me just close Safari for a minute so it's not too many things on my screen. So here's the maps, and you don't have maps, go down here in your apps. And if you see the maps feature, that's the maps that's there. If the maps is not available, then again, go up to your spotlight and write maps, right? And it's an app, right? And it opens up. And this is the first time I open the apps here. And look at that. I can get notified when friends share their ETAs and updates. So if you have friends that are telling you, yeah, I'm coming, but I'm not there, and they turned on a feature, you can look at them and say, oh, I can see that they're going to be here in 20 minutes if they're coming by car, or in 10 minutes. So I don't have that turned on, but you could do that in the system settings. You can also turn off the notifications or not. So I'm going to say dismiss. And then over here, you can share your location. So in the case of Sophia, she shared her location with me. So what you can do in your maps is you can share your location with friends. So you say that this right now doesn't have the feature, but in yours, it's probably gone over to wherever you live. So I have the location feature turned off precisely because whenever I share this feature, otherwise it would go straight zoom into my house. But say that this is, I'm kind of hand going all the way to Santa Barbara. Say that I had this feature turned on, then when you go share, you could say share my location with, and you share with your friend or your husband or whatever. And then that's another way that they can then locate you. And their Find My, you can locate if someone shared their feature, even if they're not part of your family members. So it's someone who needs to know how to get to your house. They're coming in from LA and they don't know how to get to your house. You can ask them to share their location on their maps. And then you can go see, and you'll see, oh, they're coming here. And then you'll go, oh, they got lost. I remember the first time my son took a bus to Ventura, or even earlier, once he had to fly to Tennessee, I believe. And he was like 14. I was stressed. I wanted to make sure I had him share his location. And then I was able to see him flying all the way to wherever he went to get off. He had to take a taxi to go to the college. He was doing a summer program. And I was able to see the taxi getting to the college. And I was just so relieved to know that he was where he's supposed to be, right? I mean, so anyway, but that's always, again, you can't, it's all a choice you make. Like the person has to be okay. You can't surreptitiously trace someone. So it's not like invading their privacy as long as they've agreed to have themselves followed. All right. So Doran. Your hand is up. You have a question, Doran? Your sound is, oh, you're down. Okay, no hands up. Deborah?
Hi, yeah. I was using my home screen on my phone, and I was moving some things around, and I accidentally somehow have lost my camera icon. It's my camera still is there because I can turn it on in other ways, you know.
Yeah. So remember, let me just share again, but this is exactly what I was showing Yolanda.
Yeah.
Head over to, start moving to the right, like push over to the left, so to say, and you see all your screens to the left, and then over here you'll see every app. The app library is the final thing you can push to. You can't push any further. That. And there you have, you should see, I'm seeing the camera right there. Do you see the camera?
Yes.
Okay, so hold down with your finger really tight. Don't let go, right? And then when you keep holding, if you keep ignoring it, it will give you up. Like I'm not letting go of it right now, right?
Oh,
and I can drop it where I want it, wherever I want to drop it. So right now I ended up putting it right now. I don't want it there. Remove from home screen. And I didn't want that in photography. So anyway.
Oh, okay. I think I just did it.
And
somehow.
then you just put it wherever you want. Yeah, this is a feature that's hard to teach unless some watching you do it. You have to click and hold to something, and then you can move it around, but you need to click and hold without touching that minus, right? You click and hold
Right.
and you put it wherever you want it, and then you let go. But
Okay.
also when you click and hold it, you can also just click on edit home screen, and then that's everything goes like wild and crazy. And then you move things around until you put them in the position that you want them. You want them here, you want them there, you want them everywhere, or you don't want it. And that's how you move things around.
Okay.
As you saw, I had my camera down here in my real phone. I had it down here because I want to access it quickly. So I had it right there. So I opened my phone and there it is. There's other quick ways to access it, but that's one place I have it to open it
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, more,
Um,
I was moving things around and all of a sudden it just wasn't there at
Yeah,
all.
things disappear. And that's probably because you clicked on that little minus without meaning to. By moving, instead of
Yeah.
clicking on the middle of the app, you clicked a bit higher, you took the minus off, and then it's like, it disappeared.
Okay.
Yes,
Got it.
guys, the questions have now to be about these things that we're talking about, right? I'm like, not like completely started a new subject. I'm trying to keep it to these questions, and then I'll move on to the next thing. And I'm almost, let me look at the time because I'm needing to keep track. And 12:15. Okay, good. So I needed to check. All right, Julie.
I clicked on the map icon because I've never used it.
Mhm.
And it says continue. Well, I don't want to do that right now, and it won't let me quit if I go up to.
Go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah. Hang on.
Whenever you have the computer talking to you, those are called dialogue boxes. It's like it's telling you to do things, and I have to. So it just first it says what's new in maps, right? Because so every time you open an app for the first time, which you just said it's the first time you ever open it, it tells you what's new because it just updated. And since you never used it, who cares if it's new or not? It's just telling you can have, like, you can put multiple stops for your route. So forget about it. Just say continue, because if you've never used it, you didn't even know it was or
So
wasn't.
I have
there
to,
before.
I have to continue. I can't
Yeah.
just quit.
Click on continue, and then it lets you in. Those messages will never let you move forward until you answer them. You know what I mean? You
Okay.
need to have
So
the
if I
map.
do quit
now.
maps, I should be able to get out of it then.
Go ahead and quit maps, and then when you open app again, it won't show you that one. Go and open maps again, and it won't show you that this time because you've already been informed that there's something new. That's it.
Okay.
Like the
Great,
first time
thank
you
you.
open any app, it'll tell you, oh, do this, do that, start here, continue there, follow those instructions, and then you get to the app. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you have location services turned on, which it seems like you don't, then it would zoom in straight into your house. And then from there, let me just, before you quit, if your location services turn on, then this would zoom in straight into your house, which yours isn't, so yours must be off. And then when you find a place, so go into the search maps, go in there and put, say, for example, I don't know, New York. I don't know, say New York. New York and New York City, and then it gives you the choices. And so go to the second choice. You don't want the New York state, for example, or yeah. So points to New York state, right? So now that click away so that you don't have instead go and write Statue of Liberty, right? That's much more specific. So go up to where it says New York, click in there again. Everyone play around with the maps up where you put New York. Yeah, click, that's your search, right? So click in there again. Yeah, if you want, you can click on that X to get rid of it and now write Statue of Liberty, because you can put things
Okay.
like that, even if you don't know the address, right? Statue of Liberty, and see how underneath it gives you the choice already. So you click on that. Now it knows you didn't know the address for it, but they know the address for it, right? So they're pointing straight out there. Now say that that's where you want to go, right? Go ahead and click on directions. Now, right now, it doesn't know where your computer is, and that's because you have your search feature, your location features turned on. You guys who have your locations features turned on, it would say from whatever your computer is on, and it'd already be giving it to you. But yours aren't turned on. That's something you do in settings. You can choose or not. So you need to tell it from where. So write Santa Barbara, California, for example. Just write Santa Barbara in there. And then go down under that. Right? And then maybe you want to stop in different places. You add stops, but say that you don't want to add any stops. Then say now, because go ahead and say okay to that. if you said it's getting there safely. So there goes. If you drive, it'll take you this way, gives you 2 or 3 different options. Oh, severe weather warning. I guess it's very cold. So it's showing you how to get there. And it say that you choose plan 1 or plan whichever route you want. Say that's the one you route. Click on that one on the top one. Yeah, choose one. And then go ahead and say now. When you say now, it shows you how long it'll take now. If you say plan, you can say, well, I want to go on Saturday. So say you're going to LA and you're leaving now, it'll tell you, I don't know, 2 hours. And if you're leaving at 8 p.m., it'll maybe say an hour and a half, because it'll take into account trash, jump, rush hour and that kind of stuff. So if you want to tell it when to leave and whatever, then it'll give you addresses of how to go. You can also walk. So leave Santa Barbara, California there, right at the top. And then instead of Statue of Liberty, go in and click on Statue of Liberty. Click on, take that, and then say Ventura. Say you want to put Ventura in there, California. And then say that you want to, it tells you 33 minutes fastest if you go now. Now go up at the top where it says car. Now say that you want to walk there. Click on the next to it. Yeah. Now it'll tell you it'll take you 10 hours and 33 minutes. And it shows you the height. Like you see there's some hills there. And when it says 10 hours and 33 minutes, it's showing you that there's going to be 3 hills in the way. Like under the words 10 hours and 33 minutes, put your mouse over that where it says 30 minutes, 1,700 foot climb. If you look down there, it's showing you flat, 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 hill, hill, flat, right? A bit lower, right? So say that you're fine. You still want to go there no matter what. So then go to that arrow that you're about to click and say, good, I'm going to walk. So go to you had that one, click on that. Now here's the directions. So it says, start scrolling down. And then it shows you every turn you would need to take, walk until you get there.
Wow.
So it shows you how to get there. Of course, you could also ask, well, how would I get there by bus? So next to the transit system, right? And it'll show you what you need to do, what buses, what train to take. Or if you're going to bike, the last one is if you're biking, how would you bike lanes and bike paths and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's really useful.
Is this a new feature?
No. This has been here forever. The only thing that's new is that now you can add stops. That's all. That's the only new feature to it.
Okay.
Before, it would only tell you Santa Barbara to Ventura. Now you could say, well, Santa Barbara, Ojai, Ventura. So then it reroutes you through Ojai, right? So yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
then when you're done, and this is the plan, and this is the path that you want, you can share this with yourself. So I do a lot of this. I'll say, I need to go to LA to some place that I've never been to before. I'll plan it out. I'll route the whole thing out here, and then I'll share it with myself. So I'll do it on my computer, right? If I'm on my phone, I'll do it on my phone, but say that I'm doing it on my computer because I'm pre-planning. Then I'll go and share to myself. Go back to your maps for a second.
I don't know what I just did.
Never mind. No, just you see a little bit of a map there. Just click on it. It's okay.
No.
Oh, well, then click it on the dock. Yeah. So always, every single app, again, these things I'm teaching you are for every single thing. When you want to share, you always look for the little box with an arrow pulling upwards at the top right of your screen in this case. So go to the top right above the bicycle. Yeah, so right above it, see that little arrow that pops, go up to right above the bicycle, right? So go to the bicycle again, you were there, now right above it there. That icon is always the share icon all across the computers, phones, iPads. It's a little square with an little up pointing arrow, which means share. So click on share. And then you can choose to mail, message, or whatever. So what I do, I'll plan something like this on my phone, and then I will message myself, for example. And so I click on messages and I message myself this information, right? So then say that I planned it no, you don't have your message connected to your phone. So never mind, we'll cancel. But then I send this to myself. You can go ahead and mail it to yourself, for example. You probably do have your mail connected. Go ahead and put your own email there, put your pipeline email if you want, or something like that. And then that's enough. And then go up and say, just go up and say send, like go to the little airplane. And I'm going to teach you all how to use this, right? But yeah, go ahead and you're done. choose, doesn't matter, go and send. Right, so then you can mail it to yourself, you can message. What I do is I message it to myself. Then when I finally get into the car, right, I will, and I'm not sure if it's in one of these inboxes. There it is, Directions to Ventura. So I get into my car, I'll open the link that I'll get in my message or in my text, and then it'll take me to the map and have it all rerouted, and it starts, you can have it talk to you and tell you when to turn and stuff like that. Now this has been available forever. I'm just showing you how to use it. So yeah, there you go. And you can store your searches, and you can clear, like right there, you can see that you, on the left side, that you went and searched for New York, Statue of Liberty, and for Ventura. If you don't want those to be there anymore, you can clear them so no one can see, you don't see where you've been, you start again. All right.
Great, thank you.
It's pretty cool. But again, the whole part of the cloud is that if you did a search on your computer, there it said recent searches, then when you go to your phone app maps, you go to the recent searches, and there's the search for how to get to Ventura on a bike, for example, right? So you don't even have to mail it to yourself if you have the cloud connected. And how would you have the cloud connected? If the Maps app is turned on to send you the info to the other phone. I'm looking at the time. I have 2 more minutes. Keep using different things on the computer so that you have questions for me. Next week, we're going to jump straight into Mail, and the other apps like Mail, Clouds, and Calendar are the 3 main ones that I'll be, not Clouds, Mail, Contacts, and Calendar. And they're so linked that when I show you one and show you the other, you'll see how come they're linked and how useful they are. But I want to say, a lot of you guys might still be saying, oh, I never used the Mail app on the Mac, or I never used the Contacts on the Mac. I use the Contacts on Chrome or stuff like that. Again, you're welcome to use whatever you want. I'm not saying this is the one way to do it, but when you have a Mac and you use the system, right? When you use the Contacts and the app, that's the Calendar, and the apps, that's the Mail, you'll notice that from any invitation you get on Mail, you click on and it make an appointment automatically for the day, right? When you say, yes, I'll do that. All you need to do is click on something in the mail that you received that invites you at 2 p.m. on Thursday, and boom, an app, your calendar has made an appointment for that. And then you can make a little alarm set to remind you. And then you want to email your whole book group. You go to your contacts and you click on the book group, and boom, an email sends to all your book club group or stuff like that. So they're all very intimately connected, which works as long as you use all of the apps that are part of Apple, right? Because they're the connected ones. That's not to say you can't use them separately. Just this is the advantage of working within the same ecosystem. All right. So now, just to be clear, since we are at time, if you guys need to go, this is it, go. I'll try and do always my very best to not teach anything new. When people ask me questions, if it's completely new, I'll tell you, write it down and ask me next class. But if it's clarifications on the stuff that I've been talking about, I'm happy to keep clarifying. You can stay and listen to my answers, or you can go now because it is officially 12:15. So if you need to leave, watch the recording later if you wanna see the answers. Otherwise, see you next Thursday. And yes, Susan.
Yeah, back to the location services. I have a friend that's coming in from Florida. She's going to be living just about 2 blocks over. She's always losing her phone. She has an Apple phone. And so if I enable her, part of my system, system, if she happens to lose her phone, can I track that and tell her?
Yeah, you'll be able to track it.
Left it at the restaurant downtown.
Yeah, totally. That's I just showed you how I can track my son's phone and even Sophia's phone all the way in Brazil. As long as there's 2 ways. The most less intrusive way, which isn't adding her to your family, then you're part of a whole cloud. If you just want to track her phone, have her go to her maps and locations and have to say share location with you, So then it shares, and whenever you go to your Find My, you will see where her phone is. Of course, you'll see where she is, and she has to be okay with that. You're always, knowing where she is. So that's the negative. It's not just for looking at your phone. Any minute of the day, you could look and you'd see where she is. And so she needs to be okay and know that before she shares her location, because maybe people don't want you to always know where they are. I'm just saying, privacy wise, when you do that, it's not like you turn on and off that feature. Once she shares her location with you, it'll be on until she turns it off, which means you'll know where she is, where she's sleeping, where she's eating, where part of what beach she's going to, you'll be able to see her all the time. So a lot of people do that. Kids who use their phones all the time, they share the location to say, I'm waiting for you at the corner of whatever. They'll share the location. The person arrives and then they unshare the location and boom, they got together. You know what I mean? So they're really quick at turning things like that on and off. But just so you know, unless you turn it off, you can't then, when the phone is lost, turn it on, because by then the phone is lost. You know what I mean? So if it's to find the phone, it needs to be turned on all the time and stay on, because then when you don't have access to the phone, you can find it. The other version that I'm talking about is when people say, hey, let's meet at a certain place, right? Where are you? Like with my friends, we go walking. And sometimes we'll go to More Mesa or we'll go to Elwood, and it's like, which entrance of Elwood? And I'm like, I don't know. So someone will just share the location. I'm like, oh, that's where you are. I'll make a route on my map to that spot that she's sharing. I'll get there. I'll park the car, and I've met her. And then on we go, because there's like 10 different entrances to Elwood, right? And then we just turn off to share the location at that point. So that's a really useful way of on and off, as opposed to constantly tracking in order to know where it is when you lost. That's a constant tracking. Okay. So yeah, you can do that.
Stolen.
What's that?
If your phone is stolen and you go, oh my God, I don't have any way to track that at all. I mean,
well, if your phone is stolen, you have to access your computer, right?
you don't have you're not around your computer. Let's say you're on a trip or something. So
yeah. So then you go. So then that's why the cloud is so cool, because I don't know if you were here, you weren't here, so it was in the other classes, but you can go to the cloud on any computer. You go to your hotel lobby has a computer you can borrow, or your friend that you're staying with. You go to your cloud, iCloud.com, you sign into there, and there's your Find My. You click Find My and it shows you where your phone is. Okay. So the cloud is the place that everyone can access from any computer, anywhere. As long as you know your Apple ID and password, you can be in any place and access your cloud, and then the Find My is there, and then you can trace your phone. Okay, so go to iCloud.com and try to get into your Apple ID, and you'll see what I mean. We did that again in the prior classes. So go to iCloud.com. It'll say sign in with Apple ID. Go ahead and do that, and once you're in there, that's where you'll see your Find My, and you can see if you can trace your phone.
thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Rod, and by the way, if instead you lose your computer, then you would track it with your phone, right? If you use your iPad, you have to track it with another device. But if all are gone, someone robbed your house and everything was happened to be at the same time, then you have to run and find someone else's computer. And then it's from the iCloud.com that you trace your stuff. All right, Rod? I know you were trying before to ask me something and you couldn't turn on your sound. You are unmuted, but I'm not sure I can hear you yet. So go ahead and speak and let's see. Can't find it. Oh, I think I hear you now. Say something.
How about now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Good.
Okay, good. Just a quick comment about the Find My tags. I was astonished when you said that works for it. And I start thinking about whether you can put tags in luggage.
Yeah.
Younger children on a camping trip.
Yeah.
The animals you're trying to find.
Yeah.
Because I've had such phenomenal luck with having one in my room and one on my keys. I've been using them for 3 years and they are great. So the fact that Find My now works with that, that's just whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so yeah, I told you my Sophia, the girl who lived here, sent her bicycle by freight. You know, she had a company come and take it when she was already in Brazil, and they just tracked it by having one of those tags in, just in the box with, with the bicycle, it went. So yeah, you can put it in luggage and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, you need to at some point charge it, right? So it's not like it's going to last forever, because after all, it is a battery thing, but the battery lasts a long time, but you need to keep charging it. As long as you do that, then yeah. So awesome. Glad you said that. Yeah. So you've been using it for your keys and your wallet, you said, or something like that? Yeah.
Right, yeah, I've got a little thin one tucked in my billfold. And
Yeah. By the way, I bought it for my husband. I decided to totally invest one Christmas, and because he's the one who can never find his wallet and his keys. And I wouldn't say he was offended, but I just say he really didn't like the idea. Because I always find it, and it's true, we always find it. When he asks me, I can go and trace it, right? Because I have the kind of memory where, you know, I don't know if it's got my mom's, I always seem to know where everything is. I'm one of those. But if someday he goes and buys it for himself, it'll make our life much easier, because then I won't have to be tracing every time he loses it. But yeah. Yolanda, I can't hear you. You're muted.
I wrote it in the chat. I wrote my question in the
Oh,
chat.
let me read the chat. On the map, I used to have a voice telling it to turn right. Now it disappeared. How do you turn it on and off when you're driving? Yeah, so on your phone, you have to tell it whether to have the sound. So let me see what the settings are. So yeah, when you're on your phone and you use your maps, you can tell it. So here's my maps app on my phone, right? And say that I go over here and I tell it to go from, yeah, I don't know. You can also put names of places. So I'm going to write, I don't know, Pescucci is a restaurant. So I'm going to go from Pescucci's to, I can go here, and when I go for, let me stop my share for a second, because right now it's directing it from my house. So I'm going to say from, I don't know, from the Arlington Theater. So now I'm going to share again. Okay, so say that I'm asking it to go from, here you go. So it just told me how to go from Arlington to the Pescucci's restaurant, right? So when I say go over here, you know, I'll say drive, because I can choose drive, walk, cycle. I can do it here. This is the same as what I showed on the map in the computer. I can say I'm going to walk there, or I'm going to whatever there, right? So say that I'm going to drive there. Once I say go right here, because I'm starting the drive, I'm going to click on go. It starts telling you turn right, turn left when you have to turn. And I believe that you can tell it how maybe the sound. Let me go to the settings to see if there's where you found the sound, because I don't remember. There's a place where you tell the maps to tell you or not. Location. Spoken directions. Here we go. Spoken directions on. So on cars that support it, you can hear it on the radio. If you have that, directions to wake up the device, or pause content, like pause podcast when you're having spoken directions. So like I'm listening to a story, and when I'm driving and I'm 2 hours in, suddenly my story will stop and it'll go turn left at the far exit. And then it goes away and I keep listening to my story. So that's like a pause. But yeah, it seems like it's on automatically. There's mine is on. I'm just don't seeing where to turn it off.
Are you on the setting?
Oh, by the way, I love the showed park location. Another one of those awesome things is that your parked car will be shown on the map if your location can be determined. So I've used that when I was traveling, when I was in Berkeley. I didn't remember I had left my car and I used that. I'm in the settings, yeah, and I'm trying to see here where it says to turn the sound on or off for it. And since I can't find it quickly, I'm gonna go and research because mine is on right now. I know because I used it the other day, but there's a possibility. Maps, Apple Maps, turn on sound. If you don't hear the directions, it's usually because voice directions were disabled in your settings. Turn it back on, tap the route, select audio, and then choose low, normal, or loud volume. Okay, so in my maps, it looks like if I had disabled it, it would give me that choice, but since mine is not disabled, it's already enabled, so I don't have any way to turn it off, but basically here it says tap the route, select audio. Can you make a route? Tap the route and then select audio. See, mine doesn't give me that choice because mine is giving me, and I can't have you share your screen because you guys can't share your phones. So I don't have a choice for audio because mine is turned on. I'm assuming if I had it turned off, I would be able to turn it off. I wonder, it says, why is there no sound on my Apple Maps? Check if the voice navigation setting is set. Go to settings, maps, driving, navigation setups. So let me go over here on the settings, maps, driving, navigation, driving and navigation settings. I don't see driving and navigation settings. Select option loud, normal, voice. Make sure the voices, turn the volume on in the maps. Switch to your car speaker. It's just giving me all these options as is to fix it, but why can't I hear the voice directions? Make sure the sound is not muted. Yeah, navigation settings, sound and voice, but I guess, by the way, this is an older phone. I know you have a newer phone than mine, and this is always, the directions are always about newer phones. So anyway, go to your settings, go find your maps and see if you see anywhere there the option for navigation and directions.
Okay.
And if I'm assuming that if it's off, there must be a way to turn it on, but there's also should be a way to turn it off. So I don't. Okay, location. While using notifications, sound, but this is notifications, which is different. So I don't see anywhere yeah, I don't see it. Sorry, I can't.
That's
Did you go to yours? Did you find any place
yeah, I
on
had
yours?
ramen in Gulita, but see, I will test this now when I go out and then find out whether it will speak. But I saw in yours and not in mine about the spoken direction. Spoken is what I wanted to, because I be looking at the map at the same time.
I'm gonna share I just did a search on Google, and it gave a lot of, text ones. And then here's one that's enable disabled directions, pause audio in Apple Maps on the iPhone 14s. I think you have an iPhone 14, right? Yeah. So over here, I can look into that and it just shows you. So
iPhone
anyway,
14?
so basically
First, let's go back to the home screen by
it's taking you to the,
off the screen. And on the home screen, tap on settings.
it's taking you to the settings.
We scroll down
and
tap on maps.
going to maps, which is what I was
In
doing. And then
maps
it looks like
settings. Scroll down.
you
and
go
tap
down
on
to spoken
spoken
directions. That's where I had
directions.
taken you.
And at
And
the top here, tap on directions, pause, spoken
that's
audio.
on.
So tap on the toggle button to switch
It's the
it
same
on
things I showed you.
or turn it off.
So if all of that is turned
And
on
so
like
that
I
you turn
had,
this
then
on,
it should be
post content like
speaking your
podcasts
directions. Let's see.
and audiobooks during spoken direction.
I'm just looking at the video to see if there's something I don't
And
know.
that's it.
you know.
Finally, you can swipe up to go back to the home screen.
And then
Thank you
that's
for
it.
watching
Yeah,
this
so it's the
video.
same thing that I
subscribe
showed
to
you.
my
So, yeah, that is that spoken audio. Did you find that spoken audio yourself on yours?
No, not yet, but I will get into that. Thank you so much. Is that-
Okay. You're welcome. All right, last question, Richard.
Yeah, I think I found the answer after looking at my notes. I was just trying to find my Apple ID.
Your Apple ID is easy to find, the password not, but your Apple ID, if you're on your computer, I happen to be sharing my phone, so I'll show you on my phone, but it's on either one. I'll show you on your computer too, but your Apple ID will always be at the top of your settings. When you go to your
Mhm.
settings and you click on this, it'll have an email right there, right? And my Apple ID for this phone is spcc001@icloud.com. And in your case, it would probably say Richard Castaneda, and it'll have something there. That's your Apple ID. And if you're on
Okay.
your computer instead, and I believe you have an older computer, so I'm going to show you on the older system preferences, then when you're in your system preferences, over here, it's going to have your name. In your case, it'll say Richard Castaneda. You'll go to your Apple ID, and then there's the place where you'll see your name and that there. So that's your Apple ID.
Now, is that something we created on the first day of class, or is that something I did on
No,
my own?
you,
my own.
well, weren't you the one who didn't have an Apple ID at the very beginning of all of this? There was one student that had no Apple ID, in which
I think-
case,
Yeah,
yeah,
that could have been me
could have
because
been you. Yeah,
it's because I wrote some notes here.
I think
But then-
most people get their Apple ID when they buy any Apple device and the store sets it up for you and they ask you, what's your email? And you tell them your email and that suddenly becomes your Apple ID, right?
Oh, okay.
But you could put another, like my Apple ID, your Apple ID might point to an email that you used 10 years ago, but that's how long you've owned that Apple ID. But it
Okay.
doesn't relate to your email. It's just something, it's an email, right? So whatever you have there, that's your Apple ID.
Okay. In the password, obviously, that's something else then, right? That's the other I'm trying to refresh my memory what I did.
Your password won't show here and I won't be able to help you because I don't know your password and I shouldn't know your password. So if you do not know your password and no matter how much you try, you can't figure it out. First of all, I believe you're the student who created it a few weeks ago at the beginning of class. So what
Okay.
password do you think you would have put in a short time ago? Yours is not old. But other than that, I do have in the handouts, let me share my screen. I have a link. Let me reshare my screen. Where's my screen share? Here we go. In our handouts, in the Mac handouts, I have a handout for how to recover your password. So one of these is how to access. I like reading it like this better because it's easier. How to change or reset the password. Okay. So that's the one. And so, no, that's a macOS user account. I'm sorry, that's not your Apple ID. I apologize.
Oh, there it
Here,
is.
how to find your
Right
Apple
there.
ID or password. There you
Okay.
go.
Oh, okay.
And there it
Perfect.
is. So go
Okay.
follow all these links.
Got
okay.
it. All right.
There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I gotta go and it seems the timing worked out because I don't see any more hands raised. So, all right, I'll see you guys in a couple of days.
Bye.
Bye.